of this Brisbane Heat team and only just came back in, I think, for the last game. Yeah, the last game on the weekend against the Renegades. She's bowled only 13 overs, 1 wicket at 92 and an economy rate of just over 7, but been scantily used. Here's a sweep from Heather Knight, beautifully fielded at short, fine leg. That's a great pickup by Wbbl, and they go through for a run. I don't think Eloise Sheridan signalled anything there, so off the bat of Heather Knight, right in front of a bat off stump. So she's 17, and it's now 2 for 67 in the 11th. It's at kind of the time of the innings now, where I think something's going to happen next couple of overs.
Yeah, absolutely, and great fielding just then. That's what they need in this next little period, the Heat.
Here's de Klerk, bowling to the left-handed Haynes, who again has a dot ball as she cuts it away square on the offside. No run as the ball is enthusiastically picked up by Nicola Hancock. A lot of dot balls, 2 for 67.
It does seem like the cut shots have been a little bit trickier to get away when it's been bowled into the wicket. The only one I think I can really remember is Tammy Beaumont laced one early.
De Klerk bowls to Haynes, who drives through the covers. Diving stop there at extra cover by Jonassen, but only run. There was protection on the boundary rope anyway in Prestwich, but they do get one, 2 for 68. And Rachel Haynes now 13. Neither of these two really getting going just yet. And they hold the hopes of Sydney Thunder. De Klerk bowling from the city end. Heather Knight goes aerial and she holds out. Good catch taken by Jonassen in the covers, and the big wicket of Heather Knight, who never really looked in top flight form. She's gone for 17, a huge wicket for the Brisbane Heat. And the Thunder now 3 for 68 in the 11th over. Heather Knight caught Jonassen, bowled de Klerk for 17.
Just didn't get her placement there, Heather Knight. It wasn't completely along the carpet. It wasn't really high and out of reach. And Jess Jonassen, who just had a really good diving save, potentially unnecessary, the ball before with the sweeper behind her. But just you saw her intent to really make a mark on the game and lead her side in the fielding effort. And then she backs it up with a really solid catch that was sort of slicing away from her. So she made it look quite simple in the end. And what that does is break the prolific run partnership that Haynes and Knight have been doing for the Thunder this year.
22 balls for a 17 and only 1 boundary for Heather Knight. So she falls in the 11th over. Nadine de Klerk strikes her 2nd wicket of the tournament, and it's a biggie. 3 for 68.
That time out at 10 over, we always see something happen straight after it, don't we? Usually a wicket falls in the 11th.
Slight break in concentration. Now it's Phoebe Litchfield, the left-hander, waiting for de Klerk, and she gets a Yorker, and she can only defend it to cover, no run. What an over by de Klerk. 2 runs off, picks up the wicket, and Brisbane Heat, I sense, are right on top. 3 for 68 Thunder, 13 for Rachel Haynes. Phoebe Litchfield yet to score. And Phoebe has found some form, hasn't she, Jen, just in the last few games for Sydney Thunder. She was off to a very quiet start without much opportunity. Her first 3 innings were 2 not out, 1 not out, 1 not out. But just recently, her last 3 innings, 46 off 36 against the Sixers, 16 not out of 14 against the Strikers, and 24 not out of 25 against the Hurricanes to lead them to victory. And all in all, 166 runs at an average of 33.2 and a strike rate of just under 100.
Yeah, she's been really impressive the last 3 digs. She almost got them all the way for the win against the Sixers, but the other 2, she's actually gotten them across the line. That's what you like to see. So 3 last innings, she's put them into a really competitive position, and 2 of those 3 she finished off the game for them.
So pace at both ends. Nicola Hancock back into the attack to bowl the 12th over, replacing Amelia Kerr. 1 for 7 off 2. Around the wicket, bowls to Haynes. It's short of a length, and it's cut away to de Klerk, who's riding the boundary at cover on the offside. Slight misfield, but doesn't cost a run, although not the tidiest of returns back to the bowler. Bounces off Hancock's body. 3 for 69 now in the 12th. Haynes 14 and Phoebe Litchfield taking guard.
And Nadine de Klerk, just a 2nd wicket for the season, but what a big one to pick up for the side. To take Heather Knight, that would have been someone that the Heat would have done a bit of work and a bit of preview work into, trying to figure out how do we stop her. They did really well, didn't they? She wasn't free-flowing at all, so they had their plans and they executed well. And de Klerk picks up it's only her 2nd wicket, but a big one.
Still to come, the big hitting of Sammy Jo Johnson, and they're going to need her to come off tonight, the Thunder. And then the bits and pieces, Tali Wilson, Hannah Darlington, Lauren Smith, And then a couple of real tail-enders in Ishmael and Betts as Litchfield's on the hook and gets it very fine. Down 2, fine leg along the grass the whole way. And she'll get a run down to Wbbl. So Litchfield off the mark. 3 for 70 in the 12th over. And Phoebe Litchfield has got to be busy. Rachel Haynes has got to get a run rate ticking along, because I think what we've seen here, you're going to have a decent score to have any real pressure on the opposition batting second.
Yeah, 138's been the average batting first here, but we don't think that's going to be enough to defend.
Hancock around the wicket now, bowling to Haynes, who's 14 off 18, and again a dot ball. She plays it straight to Kerr in the covers. So Nicola Hancock continuing a mighty night for her thus far. She has, in her third over at the moment, 1 for 9.
Hasn't she had a great season? She seems to have found her home at the Brisbane Heat. She's been a bit of a journeywoman in the past, but this season just very comfortable in a game. She's bowling really quick.
She's got it sorted. Bowls to Haynes, who drives square on the offside for a single. 2 to Klerk. They think about 2, but it's not even 1.5. So they rightly turn each other back. Rachel Haynes 15, 3 for 71. On the SMS, answers listening, loving the WBBL and ABC Grandstand. Nothing beats ABC Grandstand Cricket. Love your work, Maury and team. Thank you, Ants. Nice to have your company as we broadcast throughout New South Wales and Queensland on local radio and elsewhere on the ABC Listen app all the way around the world, and ABC Sport Digital Radio. Jenny Wallace and Andrew Wall with you at the moment as Hancock bowls a bouncer, pulled and missed by Litchfield, but it's a wide. Down the leg side, tumbling take by Redmayne to her right. So a run for Thunder, 3 for 72 in the 12th.
But the 2 short balls Hancock's delivered at Litchfield. The first one, she sort of got inside awkwardly and sort of was able to tap it around for the single. This one, again, she went sort of inside it, but it was a bit wider down leg. But that's one thing that Hancock's done this year. She's shown some aggression, but for someone who comes in and charges in that hard, she's also got a great change of pace available to her. So impressive again, Hancock.
Into Litchfield. Slower ball, and it's just glided away. Down to deep third for a run. Grace Harris does the fielding in off the rope. Litchfield moves to 2. 3 for 73. Nearing the end of the 12th over. Sydney Thunder was sent into bat by Brisbane Heat skipper Jess Jonassen. And Jess Jonassen, boy, she's rocketed through the bowling changes. Delissa Kimmins has bowled 2. Hancock in a third. Jess bowled 2 herself. 1 each for Georgia Prestwidge and Grace Harris. 2 for Amelia Kerr. 1 for Nadine de Klerk. Hancock bowls around the wicket well wide of off stump. 2 wide. Rachel Haynes lets it go, and umpire Tony the Wild Thing Wild signals a wide. 3 for 75 in the 12th.
Yeah, just losing her radar a little bit, Hancock, and then putting herself a bit under pressure. I think Haynes would be thinking here, if she can find a boundary to back end this over, with the fact they've gotten some singles and a couple of wides given to them, it'd be a nice finish.
In comes Hancock again. That's another wide, and that's a costly one down the leg side. Redmayne can't take it, and that'll be 5 wides. As it goes for over the boundary rope in front of the Ken Irvine scoreboard. 3 for 79, still going in the 12th, and all of a sudden, this over is worth 11 runs.
Well, that's worked out even better for Rachel Haynes and the Thunder, hasn't it? 5 wides, so 5 go on to the total, and it still has to be re-bowled. So again, now, this over that we started quite impressed with Hancock and what she's been doing, but she's just losing her radar massively. And she's only got the 2 left-handers here, so it's not the right-hand, left-hand situation that's got her unstuck.
She had 1 for 9 after 2.5. She's got 1 for 18 after 2.5 as she's into Haynes and a lovely square drive. But straight to the protection out there into Klerk. So Haynes will get 1 run only to keep the strike. She moves to 17. And at the end of the over, 3 for 80. In fact, 16 for Haynes. Phoebe Litchfield is 2. A dozen off that over, a valuable one and a much-needed one for Sydney Thunder. 3 for 80, 12 overs gone, 8 overs to go. On the SMS, who won the toss, Andy? As I just mentioned, it was Brisbane Heat's Jess Jonassen winning the bat flip, sending Sydney Thunder in. Who's on top at the moment, Jen?
I think the Heat still are. What'll be interesting with the 12 runs off that over just then will be this over. If the Heat can have another one that goes for plus 10, there's that 2 over shift of momentum that they'll be after. So Jonassen turning to Grace Harris's attempt to take the ball away from the 2 left-handers now.
Grace Harris has been phenomenal with the ball.
Yeah.
I know she went for 11 in the first over here. But coming in 21 overs, she'd picked up 13 wickets at an average of 9.07. and an economy rate of 5.6. Extraordinary from the right arm offie.
And this is where people have always sort of thrown her name up in amongst, say, the Ash Gardner position for the Australian team.
She comes in around the wicket, bowling to Haynes, who rocks back, cuts. Can she pierce the gap? She can. Between backward point and point, the ball racing to the boundary, and it beats Hancock over the rope in front of the hill at the Doug Walters stand. 4 for Rachel Haynes. Perhaps the tide is a turning. 3 for 84, and Haynes moves to 20.
Yeah, well, that's a great start for the Thunder. 4 runs, pierces the gap, and puts, that's 16 off just 7 deliveries, really. So turning this into the period that they need.
Haynes looks at the field. It's stacked on the offside. The backward point, cover point, and a cover. 4 players within about 25 metres of each other, all inside the circle. There's a deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off. Haynes gets a ball that she can't do anything with. She tried to cut, but it was on her pads. And in the end, the ball just trickles back to the bowler. Score remains 3 for 84 in the 13th. Rachel Haynes, 20 of 23.
Yeah, she might try and stay inside this one and get it to the leg side this time.
She was a bit bamboozled there by Grace Harris, who's in bowling with a hat on her head, and she cuts and gets straight to the field. The great field placements here by Jonassen. That one went to backward point, straight to Georgia Vold, off the ball, 3 for 84.
It's good for Grace Harris to have this outlet and be able to impact a game with the ball in hand, because sometimes the pressure does really build on her with the bat in hand.
Here she comes again, passed umpire Eloise Sheridan. Slower delivery, and rocking back to pull it away is Haynes to Klerk at deep mid-wicket, or Kimmins at long on. Kimmins picks it up. Litchfield is lightning quick, and she gets back for the second run. Great running by Phoebe Litchfield. She really pushed the skipper through. 22 to Haynes with those 2 runs. 3 for 86 in the 13th.
That's excellent from Phoebe. That's the sort of running you need. It's not all about boundaries. The 2s hurt just as much.
Harris to Haynes, 6 off the over thus far, well flighted. Haynes lost the ball, over cover, long off, moving to a right, diving save. They've got 1. They'll come back for the second on the return of Georgia Prestwich, and again Litchfield makes it comfortably. Good running again, good placement by Rachel Haynes. She's 24, 3 for 88, 1 ball left in the 13th over, 8 runs off it thus far.
Great running again, Phoebe.
Now it's Harris to end the over. And this is a flatter, quicker ball, and Haynes can't penetrate that offside field. Straight to extra cover. No run. Dot ball. 8 runs off, though. 3 for 88 after 13 overs. So that means 20 off the last 2. And Sydney Thunder 3 for 88. 13 overs gone. Rachel Haynes 24 and Phoebe Litchfield on 2. I reckon she should be on about 5 or 6, bearing in mind the extra run she's got for a team so far.
Well, that's it. That's how you can contribute as well. And this is the period of time where that running and that intensity from Phoebe is going to lift Rachel Haynes. They'll start to get their placement going. And when you can start to push the sweepers just 3 or 4 metres to the left or right and you're coming back for 2, things start to loosen up in the field because the pressure's there. So it's not always about blasting a 4 and a 6. Great if you can do it that way. Of course, that's the best way to increase the run rate. But running between wickets is really vital. And sometimes we've seen in this tournament a bit of snooze running, and Phoebe's been really good so far tonight.
Well, to me, this is the key right here, right now. Amelia Kerr back into the attack. 2 overs, none for 8. And she's bowling to Litchfield. Well flighted. Litchfield down the track and drives it beautifully. Past mid off for 4. Gee, that was a shot. Litchfield moves to 6, 3 for 92 in the 14th. Beautiful use of the feet.
Well, that's just gorgeous batting. And Amelia Kerr, we know she can beat the bat, inside and outside against either left-handed or right-hander. And Phoebe has come down the wicket a couple of times and been stumped earlier in the tournament. But I love that she hasn't, forgotten that that's just her style. I'll come down and just see ball and I hit it.
Now Phoebe in the crouch. Kerr bowls a quicker delivery and it's cut. Not timed by Litchfield, but sets off with the stroke. And charging in was Charlie Knott from point. They do get a run, however. 3 for 93 in the 14th. Litchfield is 7. Rachel Haynes back on strike. And again, that stacked offside field. There is a deep extra cover in front of us, Grace Harris. And a mid-off, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square. Haynes down the track, but again, another dot ball off the bat of Rachel Haynes. Gosh, she's had a lot of them. 24 off 28. Can't quite get going. 3 for 93.
She can't. Great dip on that from Amelia Kerr.
Gee, she's good to watch. Kerr bowls well flighted again, and Haynes will just turn it around for a single. Down to Laura Kimmins, a deep back, or not deep, but backward square leg. So they get a run. And Haynes 25, 3 for 94 in the 14th. So 6 runs off this over, 2 balls to come. And it's Litchfield now on strike. Kerr in. Litchfield goes back. Struck on the pad. Shout for LBW. Not out the call from the Wild thing. Umpire Tony Wilds. Looked like even from deep extra cover that was going down leg.
Yeah, she still didn't pick the direction that was spinning out of the hand from Amelia Kerr. So a little moral victory for Kerr. The wrong one was a good one, but it bounced outside leg.
Kerr in again. Beats Litchfield. Stumps. All ends up and Litchfield is filthy with herself. Amelia Kerr does strike. Huge wicket. Sydney Thunder after 14 overs, 4 for 94. Amelia Kerr, well flighted, got the ball to turn away from the bat of Litchfield, and Georgia Redmayne completed the stumping, 4 for 94. Litchfield stumped Redmayne, bowled Kerr for 7 as Michelle Gosco comes in, replacing Jenny Wallace. That was just too good. That was a magnificent bit of leg spin bowling from Amelia Kerr.
Yeah, it was superb, wasn't it? You could just tell the experience there. Kerr's not much older than Litchfield, but just been around the traps a bit longer, and a beautiful delivery just enticed Litchfield to come out. And as Jenny Wallace just mentioned, she has been out a few times stumped, and that wasn't the ball to come out to. Beautiful take by Redmayne behind the crease as well.
So that does put Brisbane Heat again in the box seat just after the Thunder was starting to stage a bit of a recovery. 4 for 94, 6 overs left. Can they get to 150 from here? Well, maybe it depends on the player who's come in. Sammy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And, I mean, she struggled for runs, hasn't she? The first game that we saw her play, she smacked 30 off not many deliveries, but has struggled since then.
30 off 13 against the Strikers. Rachel Haynes, she's got to get moving. She's on strike and she just defends back to the bowler again. She has not been able to find the gaps with any regularity, Rachel Haynes. And she's really struggling. She is there, though. 25 off 30. 4 for 94 in the 15th.
Yeah, it's been a real mixed bag. There's been some beautiful shots that Haynes has played, but sort of just hitting the fielders a lot today.
De Klerk again. Bowls and Haynes gets a run. She works it off her toes down to long on. They have one. Harris comes in quickly. Oh, nearly kills the bowler. Gosh, there have been some dumb returns in this competition. And that one would be a medalist from Grace Harris. They were well in. And she fired it at the bowler and knocked it down.
Yeah, she did one previously as well. They're trying to bounce throw it in, but what it's doing is skidding off the practice wickets, and that's whacked her straight just below the kneecap. That would have absolutely killed.
4 for 95. I love that expression. Killed. 4 for 95. Haynes 26 off 31, and Sammy Jo Johnson against her old team. Wouldn't she love to come off? It comes off rarely, but if this is a night, it could change things. Deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on. Her go-to venues as de Klerk bowls a slower ball and it's clubbed along the ground. To long on by Sammy Jo Johnson. She'll get off the mark with 1 to Hancock. 4 for 96 now in the 15th over.
Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? It'll be entertaining. Sammy Jo did do some practice matches, some T20 before the WBBL started. I think she smacked 70 odd off about 25 balls here.
Didn't count.
Yeah.
Here's de Klerk bowling to Haynes, and she clubs this down the ground, beats mid-off. No! Diving stopped by mid-off. Very well done by Jonassen, leading by example in the field. Keeps Haynes to just 1. She's 27, 4 for 97 in the 15th. 3 runs off the over, off the opening 4 deliveries.
The fielding's been really good, hasn't it? There's a lot of diving saves today. I reckon they've saved about 20 runs in the field so far, the Brisbane Heat.
20?
Yep.
Okay. Here's de Klerk bowling to Sammy Jo. Clubs this away, square on the leg side. There'll only be a run to Vol. And Sammy Jo 2 off 2. 4 for 98. 1 ball left in the 15th over. So 31 balls left in the innings. We think they need 150. So that's essentially 52 off 31 deliveries they would need. Of course, that's a complete toss-up. They could win with 130 for all we know. Here's de Klerk. Bowling to Haynes, who drives square on the offside. Another dot ball. Again, she can't pierce the field. And she's struggling to get the ball off the square. Good bowling by Nadine de Klerk. Her 2 overs have cost only 6 runs, 1 for 6. And after 15 overs, the Sydney Thunder struggling. 4 for 98. Rachel Haynes, 27. Sammy Jo Johnson, 2. And to take you through the rest of the Thunder innings, Brett Sprigg to join Michelle Gosco.
the WBBL.
Hi, I'm Rachel Haynes.
I'm Elisa Healy. I'm Nick Carey.
Down the pitch, gets a full toss and hits it for four.
On ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
Well, the Brisbane Heat applying the heat with the Sydney Thunder middle order. We'll see Georgia Presswidge continue from the fig tree end here. Gozzy, it is going to be a tricky scenario for the Thunder, having lost those wickets most recently. Knight for 17, Litchfield for 7 since my last stint anyway. So Johnson on 2, Haynes on 27. Can Sammy Jo pull it off here against her former side?
Well, the Thunder would be hoping so, but Georgia Presswidge just bowled well this tournament.
Gone for 10 runs off her only over so far. So going high behind square, full toss, picked up beautifully by Sammy Jo Johnson. She has helped that ball on its way. One bounce and over the rope in front of the O'Reilly stand. And so that is not a bright start for Georgia Presswidge, who, as I said, had 10 runs off her only over so far. That means the 100 is up here for the Sydney Thunder. 4 for 102 with the first ball of the 16th.
Well, she's lucky that didn't get called a no ball as well. It's very close to that waistline.
How does she bounce back here? It's back of a length going all the way this time, perhaps. I reckon it may have. 4. Just gone for 4, only by a couple of inches. Again, same part of the ground, so drifting down the leg side. This time it was allowed to bounce, but Sammy Jo Johnson again making the most of that. Oh, now hang on. There was a signal from Grace Harris in the deep. She's the one who signalled 4 initially, but I reckon, looking at the replay a couple of times, guys, I reckon that's landed on the rope.
I think it's just before. I've got old eyes. You're young.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah, but Spree, you're a lot younger than me. I've got old eyes.
That's hit the rope. No, that'll do, mate. That is a 6.
Wally's saying 4 too.
Oh, far be it for me to argue with you esteemed experts, but in our line of sight, I mean, I couldn't quite see because Grace Harris had obscured that ball as it was landing, but we're looking at this replay on the big screen. I think that... no, they're going to play on. But anyway, they've given
the
it 4.
The old eyes prevail.
It's 4 in the book. 4 for 106 here, so an expensive start to the Presswidge over here. She's slower ball. It's in the block hole of Sammy Jo Johnson. She's miscued this. A dot ball, and Georgia Presswidge says thank you very much. So at last a dot ball for her. An expensive start to her spell. So 2 4s and a dot this over so far. 4 for 106.
Well, in 2 shots, Sammy Jo's got the crowd really excited here. Predominantly Thunder crowd. There are a few Brisbane Heat supporters here as well.
Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backwards square. Sammy Jo Johnson digs out this full ball from Presswidge, rolls it along the carpet down to long on. Just the 1 run here, so she's off strike now to 11. 4 for 107, the Sydney Thunder. They'd like a few more starts to an over like that, the Sydney Thunder, if they're to re-accelerate this run rate.
Yeah, and the pressure falls again onto Rachel Haynes. Just struggling with a little bit with her timing out there, but the bowling's been really good to her. Presswidge here. She's got to try and close this over out.
Left-hander Haynes on strike. She taps her bat and waits here for Georgia Presswidge on the stumps. Hoiked out into the deep at mid-wicket. 1 bounce to the fielder out there. 1 run only for Rachel Haynes. She's now 28, 4 for 108. Speaking about Georgia Presswidge earlier in the broadcast, and Brittany Carter has written a nice feature article about Georgia Presswidge, and it's the cricket pedigree she comes from. The daughter of Scott, sister of Jack, who's also established in the Queensland system. Back of a length, carved up in the air from Sammy Jo Johnson down to long on. Just the 1 run here to tick her score along to 12. 4 for 109 to finish off a rather expensive over from Georgia Presswidge. So 11 runs off it and 8 off the first couple of balls, courtesy of the blade of Sammy Jo Johnson. So the Sydney Thunder sent in by the Brisbane Heat. Currently 4 for 100 and... beg your pardon. Yeah, 4 for 106 here at North Sydney Oval.
Yeah, that was a big over. That was
109.
109. Yep. That was a big over there by the Sydney Thunder. Jonassen coming back into the attack, just trying to stem the flow of runs here. Well, this is going to be entertaining. Sammy Jo on strike.
Jess Jonassen into the attack again from the city end. Her only 2 overs so far have yielded 14 runs, so economy of 7. Sammy Jo Johnson against her former side. She is a two-time premiership player with the Brisbane Heat. Of course, they're gunning for a three-peat, so can she stand in their way? Here's Sammy Joe. She takes guard at the fig tree end. 17th over of the match. Jonassen, left arm finger spin around the wicket. Full toss, going back over the bowler's head. Slapped at pace down to long on, where Alyssa Kimmins does the fielding. Just the one run here for Sammy Joe. She's 13, 4 for 110.
Even when she hits a one, it's all exciting, isn't it? Like, you're not sure if it's going to go for 1 or 6 or 4.
It's just a very expansive technique, isn't it?
It's great.
Just arms everywhere,
Yep.
and she really sort of winds up and...
Yeah, you're not sure what you're going to get sometimes, but certainly bringing the crowd into this.
Certainly conducive to that middle and lower order hitting you see at this stage of an innings. Haynes back on strike. Jonassen into her Australian teammate. Back of a length, she advances. Whacks it down to long off, who runs around slightly more square of the wicket, does the fielding. And that time it's Georgia Presswich who collects. 4 for 111. Rachel Haynes now on 29. Sammy Jo Johnson on 13.
They need to target one of these players. They need a big over. The next 1 or 2 overs here, the Sydney Thunder.
Will they target the Brisbane Heat captain? Here is Jonassen. Sammy Jo waits. She goes up into the air, out towards mid-wicket and straight down the throat of the fielder in the deep. Superb work in front of the scoreboard, and the catch has been completed. That has been absolutely phenomenal. I thought for all money it was going right through her hands, but the catch has been taken out there deep on the boundary and somehow kept it inside the field of play. Superb work out there from Georgia Presswich, and that brings about the 5th wicket for the Sydney Thunder. 5 for 111. Sammy Jo Johnson out for 13.
What a catch that was. That's a really difficult catch. Under lights, it's going at a million miles an hour, that ball, really flat. And to have the awareness of where the rope is behind her, she stayed nice and still, and you couldn't take a cleaner catch.
Sometimes when it's that far away from you, it feels like it's going to be going straight almost through the hands of the fielder in the deep, but she had the confidence, Presswich, and that does bring about the demise of Sammy Jo Johnson. She faced 9 balls for her 13, 2 fours, both of which came off Georgia Presswich, so she gets revenge of some sort. Talia Wilson, a wicket keeper, to the crease here now for the Sydney Thunder. Midway through the 17th over, they're 5 for 111.
And they've got a bit of work to do, don't they, Spriggy, now?
Jonassen, 4th ball of this over. Wilson waits back on this, turns it off the legs, but it just drops on the onside. No run, so a dot ball.
It's really, really impressive bowling by Jonassen. Just trying to use the wicket to her advantage here.
She comes again. Wilson, forward, leading edge, goes up over the bowler's head, and she'll scamper through and complete 1 in the meantime. So chances are coming here for the Brisbane Heat. 5 for 112. Wilson off the mark on 1.
Well, that was extremely lucky there. Just got a top edge or side edge of the bat and then just flew over Jonassen. It was like a little balloon catch, wasn't it? Just got enough on it.
Last ball of the 17th. Haynes attempts a little reverse paddle here. Gets it away. Very fine. That will roll away in front of the fig tree for 4. So Rachel Haynes, as you'd expect from a leader, a captain, she has been the linchpin of this Sydney Thunder innings so far. She is now 33, 5 for 116 with 3 overs to come in their allotment of 20.
And I'm a little bit surprised Hannah Darlington didn't come out. She is very good behind the wicket. Just the reverse sweeps and the traditional sweeps, but Talia Wilson, very talented with the bat, but just thought Hannah Darlington was just practicing down in front of us. Those big hits on the leg side. But they haven't really bowled that many bad deliveries that have been... There's been no sixes so far. Just a little bit untidy with their extras, the Brisbane Heat, but their fielding has been superb.
Amelia Kerr from the fig tree end, so her figures so far, 1 for 14 off 3. She claimed the wicket of Phoebe Litchfield, stumped by Georgia Redmayne. Litchfield went for 7, Johnson for 13, the most recent wicket to fall. So 18 balls left in the Sydney Thunder innings. Talia Wilson scratching out her guard here. The Kiwi leg spinner is in, flights it up. She's down and sweeping as Wilson out through the gap on the onside. Fielder goes to it now. and heaves it in from the deep, Grace Harris. Just the one run here for Wilson. She doubles her score to 2, 5 for 117, the Thunder.
It's just a real privilege to watch Amelia Kerr bowl, isn't it? She just bowls so many different deliveries, so much trickery in her arsenal that she's got for bowling. And I mean, the batters that really have to watch her hand.
She is a superb user of the wrong and the top spinner as well. We see how much that's become like a stock delivery for leg break bowlers in this format. Haynes down the track, picks out the fielder at deep mid-wicket. They'll hurry back for 2. No. Big loud call of no from Talia Wilson means Haynes must remain at the non-striker's end. She's 34. Now 5 for 118, the Sydney Thunder.
Yeah, I think that's where they've erred a little bit, the Thunder. Haynes has just hit it too well and has picked out that fielder on the boundary. Maybe take the pace of it to try and get 2.
Long on deep mid-wicket, deep square. Now she's down and sweeping. Uppishly is Wilson. One bounce to Grace Harris, who is that deep square leg fielder in front of the O'Reilly stand to our right. Up in the Tower of Terror. One more run here for the Sydney Thunder total. 5 for 119 and counting. Talia Wilson has 3. Rachel Haynes on 34. This is the 4th ball of the 18th. In comes Kerr again. Haynes gives herself room to cut straight to Alyssa Kimmins at cover point. No run.
Yeah, it's been a really good comeback by the Brisbane Heat. As we can tell, Spriggy, they haven't panicked, have they? Just been on their game.
Haynes waits for Kerr, advances again. She just clamps down on this. Misfield from the bowler and her follow-through. It shouldn't have really been her responsibility. There was no one else out there at the regulation mid-wicket. They're all back on the fence for the left-handed Rachel Haynes. So because of the slight fumble from the bowler, they allow the single. Rachel Haynes now to 35. 5 for 120. Great to have your company on ABC Radio throughout New South Wales, Queensland, ABC Sport Digital, the ABC Listen app as well. Talia Wilson down and sweeping again. That's her shot of choice in front of square this time. Grace Harris still on the fence, providing some protection. And it is just a single here for Talia Wilson. So I'll picket fence for her. 1-1-1-1. She's on 4. Rachel Haynes 35. 5 for 121 here at the completion of 18 overs. Brett Sprigg alongside Michelle Gosco.
Well, Sydney Thunder here, they need 2 big overs here if they're going to really challenge this formidable Brisbane Heat lineup. Just bowling exceptionally well. There's a great over by Amelia Kerr. Only the singles, 5 singles off that over. It just gets a little bit more difficult now with Nadine de Klerk coming back into the attack.
I was going to say, she's bowled really well tonight. 1 for 6 from her 2 overs. She got the wicket of Heather Knight for 17, caught by Jess Jonassen at cover in the 11th over. So she will bowl the second last over of the innings from the city end or southern end here at North Sydney Oval. The sky's almost black now. The light tower's in full effect. Balmy, slightly warm Thursday evening. Some breeze coming through off the harbour, which is always nice for us up high. No sign of bats yet, Goldie.
Thank God.
Cricket bats.
Only cricket bats.
Only. Wilson here, waiting here for the young South African. It's a full ball, playing a defensive stroke, gets it back past the bowler, down to long on, just the 1 run. Talia Wilson now to 5. The Sydney Thunder 5 for 122.
Yeah, they've been coming out of the fig tree. Poor Wally nearly got knocked out by one last night.
It took me a while last night when Jenny said, nearly got wiped out by a bat. And I was thinking, has someone thrown the bat or something?
Yeah.
Actually, Phoebe Litchfield threw her bat with her dismissal. She was not happy with her stumping, the fact that she was stumped. Some rare dissent and emotion from the 17-year-old. Rachel Haynes back on strike. She's the set batter here. 35 off 39. Taking some time to assess the field. Deep mid-wicket's quite square of the wicket. Long on, long off here for the left-hander. Laura Kimmins has jotted around from short fine to a short third. And there's protection on the offside as well on the eastern side of the ground in front of the bank. Haynes for de Klerk. She looks to ramp this. Miscues. They'll take off for 1 anyway. And they will make it rather comfortably for a leg bye. So Haynes remains on 35. But 1 more to the Sydney Thunder score. 5 for 123.
Yeah, she just struggled, hasn't she, with the timing, Rachel Haynes. Just at least tried something different there and went to hit that on the leg side, and it's just skewed away on the offside. So they've just scampered through for a single. And Talia Wilson, we know how good a sweeper she is, but she needs to try and target over cover here.
With the pace bowler from the city end, Nadine de Klerk. Following her third over, Wilson drives. She does go square to the wicket. It's a misfield at mid-off, but it does slow the ball down. That will save them a couple of runs, the Brisbane Heat. The Thunder will come back and complete 2. And 2 more they are for Talia Wilson. She is now on 7, 5 for 125.
Yeah, really good shot there. Really good fielding, actually. It was nearly past her, but her teammate was backing her up there just to stop that ball going for 4.
Just Jonassen, I think it was. So good standards set by the captain. Diving low to her left. 4th ball of the 19th. Wilson batting back in her crease. Keeper is up here for the medium pace. A slower ball. She's playing at the top of this and she's missing it. In fact, it's a wide. So no wonder she was reaching. It's hard for us to judge the angle from up here, but it is signalled a wide by umpire Eloise Sheridan.
Yeah, I think she's got a little bit of shape away there. I have given a few extras away here, the Brisbane Heat.
Wilson again waiting for the Klerk on the stumps. Full ball. She misses this. Redmayne whips the bails off quick as a flash, but the foot was planted. So a dot ball. 5 for 126 here. So, yeah, what's the sundries? 13 wides, no balls, 1 leg by. So, yeah, plenty of wides. Of course, there was a 4 wides as well. Always makes it look worse in the scorebook when there's the 4 extras. This partnership worth 15 and counting. Second last ball of the 19th. Wilson waits here for de Klerk. Another slow ball reaching. She's stumped this time. That's a wide, but it is stumped. So again, as she was 2 balls before, just reaching outside the off stump, enticing her out of the crease, and Wilson lost her balance on the way back. Redmayne went quick as a flash, took the bails off. They lit up. And it's 6 for 127. Effective work from a rather untidy delivery, Michelle Gosco.
Yeah, I think it was pre-planned. Georgia Redmayne had moved to her right a little bit, so I think that was sort of pre-planned. You don't want to give away extras, but it was a really good take by Redmayne behind, and Talia Wilson just didn't get to the pitch of the ball, and some pretty decent outswing there as well. So another wicket falls for the Sydney Thunder.
Great work from Redmayne. You'd think a keeper would be across all the tricks. Talia Wilson as a wicket keeper herself.
Absolutely. You'd think so.
A second wicket for Nadine de Klerk. So she's had very tidy figures so far, albeit with a couple of wides in this over. 2 for 11 and still 2 balls to come in the 19th over of the match. Hannah Darlington replaces Talia Wilson. So she joins Rachel Haynes at the crease. Will there be a couple of lofty blows to lift the Thunder to a competitive total, Gozzy?
Oh, there has to be. Hannah Darlington is very strong. Square of the wicket. They have got protection there, the Brisbane Heat, behind point.
She was winner of the Young Gun Award in this last edition, last year's Big Bash competition. Here she is facing de Klerk. She inside edges ball into her pad. She thinks about taking off, but she's sent back. Great desperation from the bowler who fields in her follow-through. Dot ball, 6 for 127.
Yeah, really good bowling there. Nadine de Klerk seems just walking back to her mark, really intent of what she needs to do here tonight, and she's been on the money.
Darlington waiting here for de Klerk. Misses this again off the pad. Half-hearted appeal. They'll scamper through for 1, which will be a leg by. So Darlington remains on naught. She'll be on strike at the other end next over. 6 for 128 here, the Sydney Thunder. So can they go big this over? We spoke about that 150 mark, so around 7.5 and over. They'll be well short of that unless they can get 22 off it. This last over will be bowled by, I believe, Delissa Kimmins, who's about to hand her cap to one of her teammates. Indeed it is. So Delissa Kimmins will bowl the last over from the Fig Tree end. And the Sydney Thunder have to make it count.
Yeah, sorry, Spriggy. I was going to say, they scampered through for a single, and you want the sort of more experienced Rachel Haynes on strike for the majority of this last over, even though she has struggled, but she's got the conditions out there that she's been out with for quite a number of deliveries now, so but maybe I think with Kimmins that actually can bowl a really effective slower ball as well, and Hannah Darlington is very strong over cover as well, so maybe that will come into play here for the Sydney Thunder.
Yeah, long on deep mid-wicket, deep square leg just behind the square leg umpire. Darlington waits for Delissa Kimmins, who whips this in. It's a full ball. She chops down on this. They'll get one out through mid-wicket. They think about the second. Alyssa Kimmins has run all the way out to the very corner of the wicket block. In fact, it's even further out. It's just where they do their warm-ups. It's about 6 or 7 wicket or pitch widths away from where she was. So just the one run here for the Sydney Thunder. Rachel Haynes is back on strike. She's 35. 6 for 129 here, the Thunder.
Just shows how important that bowler is as an extra fielder as well. No longer are you just walking back to the stumps. You've actually got to be aware of that inner ring where there's those 4 out. So there's plenty of options there to run to. So Kimmins did extremely well there.
I'll adjust the field here and bring the extra cover fielder in here. It's more of a cover point there, Amelia Kerr. Kimmins into Haynes. She carves this up in the air. Didn't get all of this. It'll drop safely on the onside. They'll come back and get 2. Throw comes the keeper's end, and they'll get there. A whitish throw from the fielder in the deep, despite the best efforts of Georgia Presswich. They got the 2 runs. So Haynes to 37. Turn those 1s into 2s. They'd just about turned for the second, or the ball was still in the air. 6 for 131.
Yeah, it just went higher than it went longer, didn't it? And it's just enough on there to get 2.
Can Haynes connect with this one? Alyssa Kimmins in. She does go big over the bowler's head. All the way, perhaps, yes! She gets all of it this time. Over vacant, long off for 6. Rachel Haynes to 43. 6 for 137, the Sydney Thunder.
Yeah, and as I was mentioning, that's how important it is to get the set batter on strike. And Haynes there, that's a big blow. Really good shot. Just hit through the line of the ball, straight off the middle, and just made sure she stayed nice and still.
All of a sudden, her half-century's in play here, Rachel Haynes. 3 balls to come in the 20th. Kimmins, not a slow ball. Cut this time, straight to backward point, just the 1 for Rachel Haynes. She's 44. 6 for 138 here, the Sydney Thunder.
And that was a really slow ball, wasn't it? Rachel Haynes almost had to wait half an hour for that ball to come down the other end. Really smart bowling there by Kimmins.
Darlington on 1 at the striker's end now, waiting for Alyssa Kimmins. Slow ball, reaching outside the off stump, plays it straight to cover. They will get there. Underarm came to the stumps. They may get on the overthrow. No. Not quite enough room for a second on the overthrow. So Darlington now to 2. 6 for 139. Rachel Haynes will face the last ball of the innings. She's on 44 not.
And they need to get that 140 mark here, just for a bit of a psychological edge of Sydney Thunder.
How does 145 sound?
Yeah.
Long off and long on, both back. Left-hander Haynes here. Waits Alyssa Kimmins. Full toss. She goes big. Out on the onside. 1 bounce and 4. Full toss. And, well, she may fall just shy of a half-century, but 48 unbeaten from the Sydney Thunder captain has lifted them to 6 for 143. It was a game of readings of real swings and roundabouts. They got a good start to Sydney Thunder. I'll give you more details and run through the cards shortly, but the Heat pulled them back. How do the Thunder feel about what they've got on the board, Gozzy? 6 for 143.
Look, I think they'd be a little bit disappointed considering that the start that they had, but look, it's 143. It's defendable. They have to get early wickets. We've seen how destructive Laura Cummins has been in this competition, even off 5 deliveries. So Grace Harris hasn't really fired. Is this her night tonight? So you'd probably say the Thunder have been more effective with their bowling. So it's going to be a good challenge here for this second innings.
Rachel Haynes finishes not out 48 of 44 deliveries. So she lost the bat flip. The Thunder were sent in by the Brisbane Heat skipper, Jess Jonassen. They lost their first wicket. The last ball, the second over. Trennaman out for 6 off 6 balls faced. Run out by Laura Kimmins at 1 for 14. 2 for 41 when Beaumont went for 27 off 20. Caught by Georgia Wbbl, bowled by Nicola Hancock in the 6th over. So 2 wickets fell in the power play. Bit of a partnership from there. Heather Knight went for 17 off 22. Caught by Jonassen at cover off the bowling of Nadine de Klerk in the 11th over, 3 for 68. 4 for 94 when Litchfield departed for 7 off 6. You could see the frustration on the teenage prodigy's face when she was dismissed, stumped by Georgia Redmayne off the bowling of Amelia Kerr in the 14th over, the last ball, in fact, of the 14th over. 5 for 111. Sammy Jo Johnson holed out eventually, caught by Presswich off the bowling of Jess Jonassen for 13 off 9 in the 17th over. 2 overs later, Talia Wilson was also a victim of a stumping by Redmayne off the bowling of Nadine de Klerk off the wide, in fact, in that 19th over. She went for 7, and then 16 runs was the unbroken 7th wicket partnership. Rachel Haynes finished not out on 48 off 44. Hannah Darlington on 2 off 4. And they finish up 6 for 143. So 144 will be that victory target. The Brisbane Heat bowling figures look like this. Lisa Kimmins, 3 overs, no maidens, none for 31. Nicola Hancock, who was the inclusion in this game for Courtney Sipple, 3 overs, 1 for 19. Jess Jonassen, the skipper, 3 overs, 1 for 21. Georgia Pressridge, 2 rather expensive overs, none for 21. Grace Harris, 2 overs, none for 19. Amelia Kerr, 4 overs, 1 for 19. And Nadine Klerk, the South African, 3 overs, 2 for 11. She was, I suppose, the pick of the bowlers. And speaking of bowlers, Gozzy, the Sydney Thunder have the bowlers, don't they, to defend a score like that?
Yeah, they certainly do. Ishmail's been one of the quickest in the tournament. Is coming off a really good last game, a player of the match performance. We've also got Sammy Jo Johnson, who's been really effective as well. Hannah Darlington's probably one of the best death bowlers in the competition. And Sam Bates, of course, who's also been named in the team of the tournament and has been so effective. So I think we're in for a really good trip. I think it's going to go down to the wire. That's my call early. Last night we didn't get that, but I think this will go down to the 20th over. Yeah, last night was a bit of a fizzer. The Melbourne Stars through against the Perth Scorchers. We know they will be back here at North Sydney Oval for Saturday's Wbbl final, the 6th edition of the tournament. The question is now, who will face them? So 144 is the victory target for the Brisbane Heat. We'll have the run chase getting back underway here shortly at North Sydney Oval. More from our experts, Michelle Gosco and Jenny Wallace. I'm Brett Sprigg, joined by Andrew Moore and ball-by-ball commentary. But first, it's time for us to head to the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. Defence has begun the process of removing Special Forces soldiers who were subject to adverse findings in a damning war crimes report released last week. With more, here's Defence correspondent Andrew Green.
The ABC can reveal a series of show cause notices have been issued to at least 10 current members of the SAS following the release of the Brereton report. Defence sources have told the ABC the elite soldiers facing possible expulsion or other sanctions are members of the SAS's now disbanded 2 Squadron as well as the regiment's 3 Squadron. Defence says they have at least 14 days to appeal.
South Australia's Chief Public Health Officer says it's vital people living near locations linked to the Parafield coronavirus cluster consider getting tested. It comes after the state recorded 2 new cases, one of which a teenage girl who attends Wbbl High School. It was closed today. Pupils and teachers that were present on Monday have been ordered to isolate. Professor Nicola Spurrier says anyone who may have been infected needs to come forward.
It is very, very important for anybody now in that Wbbl area to really go back to our website and look at the dates where we know that there were people infectious and absolutely think, do I need to get tested?
Australians stranded overseas because of the pandemic have described feeling abandoned and in a constant state of uncertainty as they try to return home. A parliamentary committee has heard from some of the more than 30,000 Australians stuck in other countries. Dave Jeffries has been in Canada with his wife and young son since March and has told the committee they've suffered financially and emotionally and feel betrayed and left behind.
We live in a state of constant uncertainty. We are simultaneously always leaving and never leaving. We've had flights cancelled within 24 hours of departure, which has thrown our domestic arrangements into chaos on multiple occasions.
The former head of the Health Services Union has avoided jail for misusing more than $100,000 in union funds. Kathy Jackson has been sentenced to a suspended 2-year jail term after spending $103,000 on overseas trips, CDs, a second-hand Mercedes and a painting by Australian artist Charles Blackman. The sentence brings to an end Victorian criminal proceedings against Ms Jackson, who famously blew the whistle on former Labor MP Craig Thomson for his misappropriation of funds when he was National Secretary of the Union. Australia's largest native title settlement will come into force in WA's southwest early next year after clearing its last legal obstacle in the High Court. With more, here's Nick Perpich.
The court dismissed an application for special leave to appeal against the registration of 6 Indigenous land use agreements, which form the South West Native Title Settlement. It resolves all native title claims over the area in exchange for about $1.3 billion of land and other benefits for the Noongar people. Southwest Aboriginal Land and Sea Council Chair Vanessa Kickett says the funds will help improve lives.
Opportunities for our young people around culture, around land, activities, estates, properties, commercial opportunities.
The settlement recognises the Noongar people as the traditional owners of the Southwest.
The World Health Organisation is urging people to stay active during the coronavirus pandemic. The WHO says there's a risk of creating another pandemic of ill health through an increase in sedentary behaviour. It says COVID restrictions are disrupting normal exercise routines and that adults should be getting at least 2.5 hours of exercise a week during the pandemic. A British genetic research project is seeking to eradicate scarring within a generation. Scientists at Bristol University are studying the genetic code of the tiny zebrafish, a species able to repair their tails, skins and internal organs without leaving a scar. Researchers say the findings could be transformative for people across the world. And Argentina has begun 3 days of national mourning following the death of footballing legend Diego Maradona. Maradona's perhaps best remembered for his 2 goals against England in the quarter-finals of the 1986 World Cup, including the infamous Hand of God goal on the way to winning the title with Argentina. He also won 2 Serie A titles and a UEFA Cup with Italian side Napoli and 1 La Liga with Barcelona. He also led Argentina to a win over Australia in a 2-legged playoff for the 1994 World Cup. Then Socceroos captain Paul Wade was given the job of marking him.
I remember standing in the Sydney Football Stadium tunnel right next to him before we went out, and I thought, looking out of the corner of my eye, I went, whoa, you're not very big at all. But wow, was he strong. Boy, was he quick. Yeah, very, very special.
ABC News.
2020 kind of ruined all your plans, and Christmas can't come soon enough for your fam. With ABC, guess what? Blow it. I need joy, I want to throw it. ABC's Christmas wrapped up in your hands.
It's time to read
Hard
with the hard quiz book of the world's hardest asses. Discover the faces and places of outback Australia in Backroads, the scenic route, and join Craig Rucastle's fight for Planet A. Books available in bookshops and online. For more gift ideas, head to abc.net.au/shop. The WBBL on ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
So plenty of gaps behind square on the onside, and there's a bit of a sweep, bit of a ramp from Tammy Beaumont down to that fine leg area for 4. She played that beautifully. Hancock bowling to Treneman, and she struck on the patch out for LBW. Treneman sets off. She'll be run out by about 87 metres. The underarm at the stumps got her easily. Rachel Treneman went into Gaga land and she couldn't wake up in time. Laura Kimmins with a run out and Rachel Treneman on her way for 6. She completely fell asleep and is run out by 3 metres. Sydney Thunder 1 for 14 after 2 overs. 17 or 12 for Beaumont. Her 13th delivery is pulled away majestically for 4 runs. Right in front of the Thunder dugout. The Klerk gave it a heck of a chase from deep square leg, but that was for the moment it left the bat too short from Prestwich, and Beaumont spanked it with a pull shot. 1 for 31.
Slow ball, half tracker, paddle up over the top, and this will be caught. That's short fine. Tammy Beaumont is out for 27. She was nearing her highest score of the campaign. On that occasion, she was deceived, I guess, by the lack of pace. She was in position nice and early to play that ramp shot, but it went straight up in the air. And the catch has been taken to bring about the second wicket. It was far too easy for Georgia Vole. And Tammy Beaumont departs for 27. 2 for 41, the Sydney Thunder.
Heather Knight goes aerial and she holds out. Good catch taken by Jonassen in the covers. And the big wicket of Heather Knight, who never really looked in top flight form. She's gone for 17. A huge wicket for the Brisbane Heat. And the Thunder now 3 for 68 in the 11th over. Kerr in again, beats Litchfield, stumps. All ends up and Litchfield is filthy with herself. Amelia Kerr does strike. Huge wicket. Sydney Thunder after 14 overs, 4 for 94.
Wilson waits here for the Klerk. Another slow ball reaching. She's stumped this time. That's a wide, but it is stumped. So again, as she was 2 balls before, just reaching outside the off stump. enticing her out of the crease, and Wilson lost her balance on the way back. Redmayne went quick as a flash, took the bails off, they lit up, and it's 6 for 127. Alyssa Kimmett's in. She does go big over the bowler's head, all the way, perhaps, yes! She gets all of it this time. Over vacant, long off for 6. Rachel Haynes to 43. Left-hander Haynes here, waits Alyssa Kimmett's full toss. She goes big, out on the onside. 1 bounce and 4. Full toss. And, well, she may fall just shy of a half century, but 48 unbeaten from the Sydney Thunder captain has lifted them to 6 for 143.
The WBBL on ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
The colours of the sunset have given way to a dark night sky here at North Sydney Oval, and 20 overs left in the semi-final stage to determine who will face the Melbourne Stars in the championship decider on Saturday evening. Back here at North Sydney Oval, the Brisbane Heat chasing 144 to win against the Sydney Thunder and keep their hopes of 3 straight championships alive in this Women's Big Bash League competition. You've got Brett Spriggan commentary alongside me, Andrew Moore calling ball by ball, Michelle Gosco and Jenny Wallace, our experts in the comm box upstairs. More from Jenny very shortly, but those were the sounds of the first 20 overs of the match. 6 for 143, led by Rachel Haynes, their captain, 48 unbeaten, and now it's up to the Brisbane Heat to really make a go of things in this run chase. And, well, I guess the question is, will the Thunder feel like they can defend that score of 6 for 143? Jenny Wallace, as I welcome you back. What have you made of this game so far?
Yeah, good evening. Look, I think we're sitting maybe 60-40 with the Brisbane Heat in front, but I do think the Thunder will think they can defend this. They are a side that, maybe don't have and other than Ishmael, the excitement of a lot of players, but they just get about and do their jobs well and try and be quite clinical and disciplined. Lauren Smith tries to bring enthusiasm. She's going to be key in getting the group up and about. But I think they do think they can defend this. They're quite a defensive unit, so I think they'll embrace this in this second innings. The Heat, I think, if they bat to their potential, they've got this run chase. Grace Harris and Georgia Redmayne opening up, and the raw pace of Shabnim Ishmail, the South African international from the Fig Tree end, first up here in the run chase. I want to get a chance to ask you as well, just hearing those highlights of that first innings of the match, Jenny Wallace, as a proud member of the Wicket Keepers Union. Georgia Redmayne, now 18 dismissals this campaign. She's been tremendous with the gloves, and she's out there opening up the batting, but I guess she's what you call a journeywoman. New South Wales junior. She's played for Taz and the Hurricanes, the Scorchers, now at the Heat, but she's had a phenomenal game so far tonight. She really has. She had a great tournament, and looking for what was going to be the answer to the gaping hole of Beth Mooney, and Redmayne has really impressed because she's taken her game to another level, batting-wise and strike rate-wise, and her glove work's been good. Can she do it with the bat? She's at the non-strikers end. Here is Grace Harris facing Shabnim Ishmail. She just guides this down behind point where they'll get one to start off. Fielded by Hannah Darlington behind that area square of the wicket. So a run first up here, none for one, chasing 144. A reminder, of course, your texts are welcome, 0467920222. We're delighted to be broadcasting through ABC Local Radio, New South Wales, Queensland, ABC Sport Digital, and of course through BBC 5 Live Sports Extra and the BBC and ABC streaming services as well. So love to hear from you. The left-hander Georgia Redmayne scratching out her guard. Waiting here for Shabnim Ishmail. So quick, back of a length. Again using the face of the bat, guiding it straight to point. Slight misfield though from Tammy Beaumont on this occasion. So a dot ball. A slip in Spriggy. So, obviously a good defensive bowling unit. The Thunder, likes of Ishmael, Bates, Darlington. But identifying the fact that, realistically, the more wickets we take, the closer we're going to get to winning this. So they've gone with a slip. Ishmael's in form at the moment too. Heather Knight is at slip. Ishmael in past the bowler. Redmayne, again, just guiding this straight to backward point. Again, to Tammy Beaumont, no run. None for one it remains here, the Brisbane Heat. Yeah, well, Ishmael, she destroyed the power play in their last fixture against the Hurricanes. Was getting really good lift off that Redmayne Oval wicket. putting the batters sort of really on the back foot. They were struggling to get forward.
So she had 3 for 10 for the match, but I think 3 for 4 at one stage or something in that game. Oh, here she is. But it's a bouncer, and Redmayne tucks under it. It goes through to the gloves of Talia Wilson behind the stumps.
Yeah, and she had Nick Carey, first ball, Nick Carey faced. Hayley Matthews tried a defensive shot that she didn't really commit to, so then it was able to burst through the bat and run back onto the stumps. Tryon was the other one that she beat with pace, and that was after a really good bouncer that sort of put her back on the back foot. And even just then, that was a good bouncer, but didn't quite get the bounce.
No, it didn't quite carry through. Redmayne again on naught here. Back of a length. Cut away. Does it just shy of the fielder at cover point? Treneman may have just arrived at her on the half volley. So Georgia Redmayne making her intentions clear, trying to find that gap on the offside. It was a little up-ish. Didn't quite roll the wrists on that one, and it was a tricky little situation for Treneman. It may have almost gone to her on the full, but...
Yeah, I think it might have. From Redmayne, she would have been filthy had she been caught off that, because that came out of the middle of the bat. She didn't sort of go for placement. She just really whacked it.
She may have put that down. It was hard to tell with the naked eye because the view was obscured by the fielder, but last ball of the over. She skies this up over the bowler's head, just flat batting it. It'll roll down towards the boundary. 2 fielders give chase. Darlington gets there first, parries it up this time for Bates to heave it in, and they come back and complete 2. So Redmayne's off the mark with those 2 runs and just 3 runs off the opening over here of the run chase. The Brisbane Heat in pursuit of 144 for victory, 3 without loss.
Well, I think North Sydney was quicker than, say, Drummoyne, where Ishmael was last bowling, but Drummoyne definitely had a bit more bounce in it and sort of some awkward bounce as well. The batters, I don't think, really enjoyed their season at Drummoyne Oval this year, whereas the bowlers often don't get the rub of the green, but they did there, and they were loving it. Good pace here tonight, just maybe not as much of that height off the bounce.
Samantha Bates, so we mentioned one of those danger bowlers. She'll take up the attack from the City end first of all here, the left-arm orthodox bowler. She actually turns 25 this Sunday, the day after the grand final. So it'll be a nice way for her to celebrate if her team can be there. Of course, they've had plenty of success, the Sydney Thunder, in finals in the past. They won the inaugural Wbbl competition 5 seasons ago. Here she is bowling to Grace Harris. Taps her bat and waits for Bates. It's a full ball and swept away off the full toss. Square of the wicket on the leg side. So 4 runs. An explosive start to this over from Grace Harris. She is now on 5. None for 7 here at the Brisbane Heat.
Well, that's a gift from Sam Bates. She's been trying this year to slow her deliveries down and try and bowl with a bit more height in her action, but let it dip and then it actually grips and turns. Whereas in the past, her name was really just known for real darts, just a bit Michael Beer, really, if you remember, just the way it come around the wicket and ramp it in.
That height as well. Samantha Bates, left arm around the wicket. Another full ball, driven back to the bowler, who stops it in her follow through. None for 7 it remains here.
Grace Harris has had a bit of a enigma of a season, hasn't she? Her strike rate's under 100, which no one would believe that's Grace Harris.
She's been bowling well, though. Here she is facing Bates. Winds up here, drives straight to Rachel Haynes, who fields at mid-off. And it is just the 1 run here for Grace Harris to move along to 6. None for 8. Now they'll move long on up. In fact, it's a regulation mid-off here for the left-hander Georgia Redmayne. Fielders are back at deep backward square and quite a square deep mid-wicket in front of the O'Reilly stand. Midway through the second over, the Heat chasing 144. They're none for 8. Here is Bates to Redmayne, who's coming forward, goes up in the air, and it will just drop safely on the onside. Couple of bounces there for Treneman, who throws it in from the deep. 1 more run here for Redmayne. She moves along to 3. None for 9. By the way, I did hear a faint clap as Shabnim Ishmail was running in. No one else joined in. That's Paulo and our mate Stephen in the McCartney stand. Good on you, Stephen. Up there is waving to us again. Harris back on strike, waits for Bates. She's bowled! Waiting back to cut on this delivery. It skidded through, took the off pole, and Grace Harris, her somewhat lacklustre form this campaign has continued. A vital wicket, though, the first to fall in the run chase, and the Brisbane Heat are 1 for 9, chasing 144 for the victory.
Oh, just the start they needed. Sam Bates doing it again for the Thunder. getting the big wicket. She's got her a couple of times now this season. Sam Baines once deceiving her in flight, getting her stumped. This time a little bit quicker and just cannoning into off stump as Harris tried to give herself room to cut and failed to connect, and Bates did not fail. Straight into the stumps. They lit up, and it was a big celebration for the Thunder. So just that sort of start. They finished the last over with a bang, thanks to Rachel Haynes. Now they've started the start of this power play with a bang, exactly what the Thunder fans need.
The voice of Jenny Wallace on Grandstand Cricket via ABC and BBC radio services. So now Nadine de Klerk at first drop has joined Georgia Redmayne. Harris departs 1 for 9. It almost happened in slow motion. It was a loopy old ball from Samantha Bates, the second last of the over. Can she bring about a second here? Last ball of the second over. De Klerk just gets it here. It's a packed ring field on the offside. Long on his back, deep mid-wicket as well here. Still early in the power play, as Jenny Wallace said. It's Bates. In past the umpire, De Klerk a high bat lift, coming a long way forward, playing a defensive stroke back to the bowler and a dot ball to see her out. 1 for 9 after 2 here, the Brisbane Heat.
Nadine de Klerk coming out to bat. I did not see that coming at all, and it sort of made me quickly go, and I'm having a look, and I think like in the past when they've played, if they've lost an early wicket, they've sometimes thrown Laura Cummins out, whereas we now know that don't do that, leave her in that 5 and 6 and give her only 10 balls to face and she comes off, doesn't she? So
you a quick fire 20 or 30.
Yeah, but I didn't see that coming. The fact that Jess Jonassen hasn't come out to bat, she's very good with the willow herself. I'm surprised by this choice and have to wait and see what plays out here. Is Ashley Noffke just pulling off a master stroke?
High score of 32, Nadine de Klerk this campaign. The South African international, 7 ODIs and 20 20-20s to her career tally. So that 5 times fast. 20 T20s, we can call them.
Okay.
1 for 9. Third is back in fine leg as well. Redmayne, again, just taking some time here. There's a point, a cover point, an extra cover mid-off. Redmayne taps her bat and waits here for Ishmael, who whips it in quickly here. It's a full ball driven, though, expertly. Slowed down. Great work it was by Lauren Smith, diving to her right from extra cover. And it's just the 1 run, so she stopped. It would have been probably 3 more. 1 for 10 here, the Brisbane Heat.
Well, that's getting the crowd involved straight away, and Lauren Smith, she's just a bundle of energy, and she really always makes sure she throws herself around the field, even if it means she doesn't wonder, could I have dived and stopped it? She'll always go the dive option and see if she can reach it.
Ishmael powers away here. Fellow South African de Klerk getting it off the mark, and she's up on her toes here. She's squared up, but comes off her midriff and deflects out to the area behind point. A dot ball, 1 for 10. 0467 920 222. Regular texter, Missy on the mount. Thank you, Andrew and Brett, and the precious lovelies, says Missy. Missy's always very complimentary, Jenny, to our rugby league coverage. She always has lovely things to say about callers, experts, sidelines, everyone. So on you, Missy.
Thanks, Missy.
Shabnim Ishmael in past the umpire. De Klerk again whips it away off the hip. They'll get 1 here out in front of square. They'll think about the second and think better of it. 1 for 11. In the third over of the run chase. They're chasing 144, the Brisbane Heat, for a place in the final back here on Saturday night to face the Melbourne Stars. Could it be a green final? Thunder and Stars? Ooh. Never mind the big dance or the... Well, that just... Green final works for marketing, doesn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
The green grudge match. Ishmael. Redmayne taps her bat here and waits for Ishmael. She pulls this. It was a short ball. Came at pace, as you'd expect from Shabnim Ishmael. Straight to mid-wicket, though, where it's well stopped by Heather Knight. And a dot ball. 1 for 11 it remains.
Yeah, the battle of the greens. Absolutely. The Heat don't want a bar of that. They want to ruin that. They want Teal in there, and they want their three-peat.
Absolutely. So, stories galore. The Stars, we haven't been to a finals campaign before. They were comprehensive last night here against the Perth Scorchers, led by Meg Lanning so well. Second last ball this over. Another shot ball. Leading edge that goes up behind square, and 1 bounce and 4. Well, that was... I don't think at all it was coming off the bat at full force from Georgia Redmayne, but certainly the pace of that delivery from Shabnim Ishmael helped, and it went all the way over square leg for 4.
Yeah, astonishing shot. And as you said, just the pace helps. And this is where Redmayne's impressed all season. Just she takes fight back up to the opening bowlers and just uses the fact that she's smart and she's like, well, I've just got to get it over the top of the inner ring, and these guys bowl fast. It'll keep running.
1 for 15. 1 to come here in the third. Redmayne waits for Ishmail. Full and wide and in danger of perhaps being given a wide. It isn't. Nothing doing, says our man, the Wild Thing, Tony Wilds. The dot ball to finish off. 1 for 15. We're halfway through the power play, so 3 overs complete here in the run chase. The Brisbane Heat looking at 144 to win here. Brett Sprigg alongside Ginny Wallace on Grandstand Cricket.
Oh, Ishmael hasn't picked up the wicket yet, but can tell she's bowling with some good heat, and she's definitely in a lot of confidence with her game. They often try and bowl her out sort of usually the last over is the 11th or 12th, if not 4 straight. So interesting to see if they still do that tonight.
So to Klerk. We'll wait here for Sam Bates. 6 runs off her only over so far. So we'll continue as is with the same 2 opening bowlers used across the first 4 overs. 4th over of the run chase. De Klerk gives herself room to cut. It's just played back to the bowler with a flat bat action and along the ground here for a dot ball. Bates coming around the wicket. De Klerk advancing uppishly on the bounce. Well picked out by Rachel Haynes. It came on the bounce but almost skidded through on an inconsistent bounce. Sometimes those can be the hardest ones for fielders to judge, can't they? And it's she's got her body behind it. Stop that ball. So a couple of dot balls here to build the pressure. De Klerk attempts to sweep. She miscues this, but it rolls out into the deep at mid-wicket. They'll get 1, if nothing else. So she doubles her score. Move along to 2. 1 for 16 here, the Brisbane Heat, chasing 144 for the win.
Well, De Klerk's from ball 1 showed her intent and why she's been put up there. Obviously just trying to get a cameo out of her.
Redmayne here waits for Bates. Cutting just shy of Heather Knight. Forward of point, and that will race away for 4. So in the end, it was, in fact, Litchfield who threw a body behind it, but arrived on the half volley. It was an awkward sort of attempt for her, and a boundary here for Georgia Redmayne. So her good form and good fortune continues. She's now 12, 1 for 20, with 2 balls to come in this 4th over. Not spoken about Redmayne's form with the bat this tournament. Here she is, a left-hander, waits for Bates. She goes up in the air, out to vacant mid-wicket, 1 bounce, and the fielder coming around from square. On that occasion, Treneman couldn't parry it back in play. So back-to-back boundaries here for Georgia Redmayne. 3 half-centuries in this campaign so far. She scored an unbeaten 59 against the Thunder the last time they met. So I mentioned her glove work, but certainly with the bat, she's been very good this tournament. She ticks along to 16 off 12. 1 to come in the 4th. Bowled here by Sam Bates. Flights it up. She goes big again. This time, I reckon it's gone all the way for 6. And it has. So an expensive second half of the over from Samantha Bates with 14 runs coming off 3 balls. 1 for 30. Redmayne now 22. De Klerk is 2. We're 4 overs into the run chase. The Heat are chasing 144 for victory.
Well, it sums up where Georgia Redmayne has increased her game. I know it's always probably been in there and people have seen it, but she's always had to play the really responsible anchor role, almost that 50-over cricketer opener style. And this year she's, whether, because of the changes to the team, or Ashley Noffey sort of saying to her, you know what, no, you've got these shots in your armoury. Let's show some people what you can do. And her ability to clear the rope has been really impressive. And, they haven't really missed out too much from some of the players they've lost because of her form.
Ishmael will continue from the fig tree end, so just opting to continue with this all-out attack here with the ball is Rachel Haynes. I know they don't have the luxury of a big score to defend here, so perhaps bowling Ishmael out and getting a few quick wickets as she did last weekend. Coming forward to Klerk, great defensive throw, takes off for 1 here. Throw comes to the keeper's end, they make it comfortably. So she took on the arm of Rachel Haynes, who threw back to the keeper's end, but an easy single to keep the pressure on the fielding team here. So 1 for 31. De Klerk now on 3.
That's good cricket from De Klerk. We know that she's been sent out there as a bit of a pinch hitter as such, but instead of just wildly swinging at that ball, she just gets Redmayne on strike, who is going at the moment. So even though she's the pinch hitter, that shows some good cricket smarts to me.
They're going to move that wideish fine leg even wider still, sort of almost like a deep backwards square. Third man back on the boundary as well. Ishmail, back of a length, slower ball, worked away very fine off the legs of Georgia Redmayne. Runs down towards the rope near the Ken Irvine scoreboard, and it's kept up inside the field of play. Fielded by Sammy Joe Johnson. They come back for an easy 2 though. So Redmayne now to 24. 1 for 33 here at the Brisbane Heat in pursuit of 144.
And Redmayne just... that when you're a batter in form, this is the way it goes for you. They move the field to try and stop you. You just hit it to where they were previously. You just start manipulating the captain and the bowler, and they keep chasing you. And yeah, to me that shows when a player's in form and in control of their game. So now they're shifting Sammy Joe Johnson back straighter or finer now. And Redmayne just has a little look over her shoulder, and you just can tell she'll just click that away and go, okay, cool.
And adjust her next stroke accordingly. Ishmael, right arm around the wicket. Fast, playing and missing on this occasion, Georgia Redmayne. Almost like half a drive, using to use the face of the bat maybe to get it fine and beat the fielder at third to the rope. But flew past the outside edge, and a dot ball from Shabnim Ishmael. Her figures so far, none for 12. She's halfway through her third over.
Redmayne just wasn't still when she was trying to glide that. Just needs to make sure she's stationary, or her eyes are still at least.
Here come the bats, Wal. They've left the fig tree. They're on their way to you. Here's Ishmael around the wicket again. On the stumps, and perhaps again just shaping the drive, playing and missing. Just outside the off stump on that occasion from Shabnim Ishmael. So 1 for 33. Redmayne 24 to Klerk on 3. No change for a couple of balls.
Redmayne's just helping to silence the crowd, which works in the Heat's favour here.
Scotty's clapping Shabnim Ishmael in. Another full ball, another play and miss. So, nice trio of dot balls from Shabnim Ishmael. Redmayne remains on strike on 24. De Klerk on 3. 1 for 33.
Yeah, just angling in. She's coming around the wicket and she's bowling sort of in at Redmayne, but just getting a nice little bit of cut or back away or to straighten it up, and it just has beaten the bat 3 times in a row now. Good little battle, this one.
Sorry, not Scotty. Stephen. Sorry, mate. There you go. As you were. Shabnim Ishmael. Right arm around the wicket. Redmayne again waits. It's a false start. So a dead ball here as Ishmael was powering in.
It's because she didn't have the slow clap in because we're distracted, Stephen.
Oh, exactly right. We're calling him Scotty. There we go. Redmayne 24 off 17, but she's been tied down this over by Shabnim Ishmael. The breeze picks up inside our North Sydney Oval commentary box, and it's also just stunted the run-up of Shabnim Ishmael again. So on a hat-trick of dead balls.
Just losing her run-up and overstriding a bit, and some frustration to a skipper at mid-off there.
You see it happen so often, do you, that a bowler twice would have the run-up sort of having to readjust. Last ball of the 5th. Back of a length, using the face of the bat, guides it to Beaumont, who misfields at gully, and they scamper through and complete one. So Redmayne will keep the strike. She's on 25. But De Klerk is on 3. 1 for 34 here, the Brisbane Heat. They are chasing 144 for the win and a place in the WBBL final on Saturday evening. Jenny Wallace on Grandstand Cricket will be joined next by Andrew Moore.
The WBBL on ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
Cheers, Spriggy. As you mentioned, getting a little blustery here. 1 for 34 after 5 overs, 110 needed in 15. Sammy Joe Johnson, who ended the regular season as the equal leading wicket taker. Sammy Joe, she finished with 18 wickets at 16.72, an economy rate of 7.22, and wouldn't she like to break through here against her old team? With Brisbane Heat needing 110 off 90. Redmayne 25 off 18. Beaten 3 times in the last over by Shabnim Ishmael. After 5 overs, the Thunder was 1 for 40. So Heat -6 if you like. But this was the 5-over period that the Heat dragged Thunder back. Sammy Joe Johnson in. Redmayne goes over the top to Haynes out. Caught at mid-wicket. Sammy Joe strikes. Georgia Redmayne on away. Shabnam Ishmail thinking there's no justice in this game. But Sammy Joe's got a grin. 2 for 34 in the 6th over, Jenny Wallace. A huge breakthrough for Sammy Joe Johnson.
Absolutely, that's the wicket they wanted. The dangerous Redmayne departs. As you said, Ishmael would be wondering what she has to do, but that's where bowling in partnerships. I think Sammy Joe Johnson has benefited from the form Ishmael's been in, because they have to then go after someone else, and she benefits there. They tried to go straight over the top, didn't even see one ball, so maybe a little bit reckless from Redmayne trying to make a statement. And Haynes, a good catch just on the inner ring, and 2 down. And the defence coming good so far.
Real mixture of an innings, wasn't it, from Georgia Redmayne? 3 4s and a 6, but beaten, nearly caught. She ends up with 25 off 19 deliveries with those 3 boundaries and 1 6. 2 for 34. Brisbane Heat in the 6th over this game on a knife's edge. And Jess Jonassen, who's batting 3 all tournament, comes in at number 4 now for Brisbane Heat, the skipper. 212 runs at 19.27, highest of only 35, and a strike rate of just under 113. She's a big game player, Jess Jonassen, tapping the bat, a left-hander. In comes Sammy Joe Johnson, bowls to Jonassen, and it goes back to Johnson, who knocks it down in a follow-through dot ball, 2 for 34.
Well, can notch up that wicket of Redmayne to the dot balls from Ishmael, just beating the bat 3 times in a row on the outside as she tried to go for expansive drives, and wanted a boundary early in this over, and Sammy Joe Johnson got her.
Stevens back on the text. 2 words, game on. The thing in the upper McCartney stand. Johnson bowls to Jonassen, who punches it down to Rachel Haynes at mid-on. Pressure builds, dot ball, 2 for 34. Another Jace says, sorry I'm late to the broadcast. I've been out running 10Ks doing my virtual Peachtree road race. Now in bed listening with large ice-cold drink with the fan on full speed. Good on you, Jace. Relax, put the feet up, enjoy the rest of the run chase. 144 the target. Sammy Joe in, and Jonassen guides this into the covers. No run. It ended up straight to Lauren Smith, who took a rather unnecessary throw at the stumps of the non-striker's end, but still a dot ball. And this has been a wonderful over so far from Sammy Joe.
Hasn't it? What a wicket and 3 dots. Can she continue on and get herself a wicket made in the T20 semi-final?
In she comes. Jonassen taps the bat. Johnson in, and it's a full pitch. It's squirted away on the offside. A diving save in the end by Treneman at point, diving to a left. 1 run, though. Jonassen off the mark. She's won 2 for 35 in the 6th. And Nadine de Klerk comes back on strike, who's essentially a pinch hitter, but only 3 runs off 7 deliveries.
Yeah, we're yet to sort of really see the reasoning for this promotion up the order.
She waits now, the right-hander to Klerk. In comes Johnson, and it's well pitched up and good line as well, and it's just pushed back to the bowler. What an over by Sammy Joe Johnson. 1 for 1. Brisbane Heat after 6. The power play's done. They're 2 for 35. Again, 6 runs behind where Sydney Thunder were. Nadine de Klerk is 3. Jess Jonassen is on 1. And among the batting to come for Brisbane Heat, Georgia Wbbl, Amelia Kerr. I think the one we're all looking at down the list, Laura Kimmins, Delissa Kimmins, Nicola Hancock and Georgia Prestwidge. But the run rate is 5.83 at the moment. They're doing a really good job, the Thunder.
That's it. We talk about how they would be approaching this as this is the defensive time. This is our defence. We get to do this all as 11 people out on the field right now. And you can build pressure. It's a semi-final, so the scoreboard pressure is even greater. It's worth probably 15 runs more in a final, having batted first. They had a good last over, so a bit of momentum there, and then they've started really well.
And Lauren Smith with her off-spinners under the hat. She bowled 32.5 overs, 7 wickets, economy rate of 6.5. And she's in bowling, and here's an under edge from a cut shot by Jonassen. She's going to get the benefit of it. Sam Bates is loping after it. She finally gets there in front of the scoreboard, hands it off, and they'll end up with 3. I reckon that's the first 3 of the night.
Yeah,
she ended up giving it away to Tammy Beaumont to throw it in, but Sammy Bates, wonderful spinner, not quick along the ground, and that under-edge basically went under the gloves of Talia Wilson. It's now 2 for 38, Jonassen to 4.
Yeah, beneficial miss-hit for JJ there. It's hard going to get 3 on North Sydney or on a lot of the fields that we play the WBBL at.
That might have been buys, Jen. She might not have hit that at all. I think it's buys. Lauren Smith bowls, well pitched up to de Klerk, and she punches it down to Darlington at long off for a single. So she's 4, 2 for 39 in the 7th over.
Yeah, well, maybe the noise we both heard was actually the bat hitting the keeper's gloves potentially. I thought I heard a noise and just assumed it was an under-edge.
Same. But no, buys given. So now Jonassen, the left-hander, back on strike. Bit of work done to the pads of Nadine de Klerk by the Thunder captain Rachel Haynes, who's at an extra cover position. Smith bowls down the track. Comes Jonassen and squirts it away uppishly. One bounce to Treneman. In the covers, no run. 2 for 39. You can hear Talia Wilson. Great stuff, great stuff. Encouraging as you keepers do so well. So vociferously. Smith around the wicket. In, driven by Jonassen. Beats mid-wicket Knight and goes out to the boundary rider for a run. So she moves to 2. 2 for 40 in the 7th over. The target 144.
Well, the run rate just creeping up ever so slightly for the Heat. We know they've got firepower to come, so you don't want to let it get too out of hand early.
Smith to the right-hander to Klerk. Rocks back, pulls it over the head of Haynes at mid-wicket. Heading to the boundary, and it beats Rachel Treneman. Gee, I thought one of her or Ishmael coming from long on were going to get there, but it split them perfectly. A boundary for Nadine de Klerk, her first. She's 8, 2 for 44, and all of a sudden this over worth 9 runs. This is what the Heat needed.
Well, that's what de Klerk's been sent up to do. Rocked back quickly on that one, didn't she, Maury? And just popped it over the head of Rachel Haynes at mid-wicket.
Smith around the wicket now to the right-hander. And de Klerk, a flatter, quicker one, just rolls her wrist on it. She wants 2 off the bat. It goes very slowly. 3 fielders converge. They're coming back. Throw them away from Sammy Joe. Wilson takes off the bails and appeal. We're gone to the 3rd umpire. I think de Klerk's made it back. I think she's made it back. It would be 2 for 46 at the end of the over. We've gone to the 3rd umpire, Claire Polisak. And that will end the 7th over. I can't see our experts, so I don't know whether Jenny Wallace is replaced by Michelle Gosco or not. Gozzy, I'll bring you in here. She's safe, isn't she?
Yeah, she is safe there. Really good dive. She's been really busy at the crease in the last couple of overs, hasn't she? And just sprinted there. Not tall in stature, but...
Not out officially.
Yeah. Really hard running between wickets there.
So they take the 2 runs. That was really well run. They took on Sammy Jo Johnson's arm. Gosh, it's a tough school. She bowled over 1 for 1 and she's out of the attack. The score... Well, I don't trust that 10-over scoreboard at all, so I'll wait for it to come up on the big screen. I believe it's 2 for 46 after 7 overs. And Hannah Darlington, who has been so improved with the ball. She's been terrific through the second half of this competition in particular. Hannah Darlington with a medium paces. Jonassen 2, she's on strike. De Klerk is 10, 2 for 46. And Hannah Darlington, 35 overs, 15 wickets at 15, economy rate of less than 6.5. Gosh, she's done a good job.
She certainly has, and she identified that she would be targeted in her second year, and she's certainly worked on that.
So here comes Darlington, medium pacer, over the wicket to Jonassen. Pull shot struck on the body, no run as the ball drops at the batter's feet. Good start by Darlington. I tell you what she's shown too, she's got a great Yorker.
Perfect Yorker, yeah, and she's executed that so well. Something that she has worked really hard on.
So now Darlington. Again, the wind just continues to pick up here at North Sydney Oval. Jonassen is playing this through mid-wicket. No, great diving stop to a left by Heather Knight. Dot ball. 2 for 46 is the score. Jonassen still on 2.
It's a beautiful night, though, isn't it? Just starting to get a little bit cooler. It was a sweltering day.
Yeah, it was. The breeze is not unwelcome. I'd just rather not be in the Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Here comes Darlington, bowls to Jonassen. A big hoik, chops it onto a body, dribbles to backward point. Tammy Beaumont underarms at the stumps, taken by the keeper Wilson, and they get a run for all of that. Jonassen to 3 off 10 deliveries, And the score up to 2 for 47 in the 8th.
He just hasn't got a timing right, probably in this whole tournament, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're really outstanding with the bat last year, but just struggled a little bit. Maybe also having the captaincy. She's bowled pretty well, as we know JJ does, but just struggled a little bit with the bat.
That's Michelle Gosco. I'm Andrew Moore. Grandstand Cricket. Thanks for your company. If you've just joined us, Sydney Thunder was set in, scored 6 for 143. And in the 8th over, Brisbane Heat 2 for 47. It's Darlington bowling to Klerk. Rocks back, pulls this one just forward of square on the onside and gets a run to Treneman. But just a single. Lovely return back to the bowler. 2 for 48 in the 8th over. Klerk moves to 11. Were you surprised she came in at 3 to Klerk instead of Jonassen?
Oh, 100%. I was with Wbbl there. I was really shocked that she did. But, look, she's been busy out there and she did eat up a few balls to get going, but she's nearly a runner ball now.
96 to win off 74 deliveries, the equation for Brisbane Heat. Winners of the last 2 WBBL titles. Looking to make the final again. Here's Darlington bowling over the wicket at Jonassen, who drives it down to long on, along the ground the whole way, and gets a run to the diminutive Lauren Smith. Ball goes astray off the return of Darlington's body, but another run, 2 for 49. Jonassen is 4.
I just saw Heather Knight warming up, so we might get a few overs out of the England skipper as well.
Well, what about her performance in that 5-over run chase at the showground?
Oh, yeah.
3 for 4 in her over.
Yeah, pretty expensive.
Maddie Green, Georgia Redmayne, someone else who I've forgotten. Here's Darlington, bowling to Klerk, who's on 11. Reverse, a little ramp over the top of short fine leg. 2 bounces, 4 runs in front of the great famous Bob stand. So a great finish by Nadine Klerk. Hits the boundary. 2 for 53 at the end of 8 overs, Brisbane Heat. The 50 comes up at the same stage. Thunder was 2 for 54. So the old barely a struck match between them. 15 to Klerk, 4 to Jonassen.
Yeah, we're in for a nail-biter there. A poor delivery by Darlington when you want to try and close out your over without a boundary being scored off your last 2 balls. And unfortunately, she bowled a full toss, and Klerk did really well just to paddle that around the corner and helped it on its way down to fine. And obviously, she's very talented with the bat as well, and just showing us that here tonight at North Sydney.
So Heather Knight, she did pick up a wicket in the last game against the Hurricanes, 1 for 18 off 3. But prior to that, 5 straight appearances without a wicket. In all, 20 overs, 9 wickets at 15.33 and an economy rate of just under 7. She'll start around the wicket to the left-handed Jonassen, who's 4 off 11. Klerk, 15 off 13, 91 to win off 72 balls. This is the start of the 9th over. Text messages 0467 920 222 as Knight bowls to Jonassen. Cuts and gets an under edge and gets them luck. The ball trickles back fine, and it's chased by Talia Wilson. So a very fortunate run for Jonassen. She's 5, 2 for 54. Loving the call. What is Ishmael's best delivery, in your opinion? I'd imagine a height and genuine pace would make a bouncer particularly difficult to handle as the ball's still heading at your head at 130 k an hour, but at a different angle. That's from Dizzy.
Yep, good call.
You're on the money, Dizzy. Ishmael in front of us now here at deep mid-wicket. Klerk cuts it away. It was a terrible ball by Heather Knight. Half-tracker outside the off-stump. She's lucky it doesn't go for 4. It'll only go for a couple as they sprint back for a second run. Good running by Nadine Klerk. So 2 more for Heat. Klerk is 17, 2 for 56 in the 9th. The target, 144.
Yeah, just didn't get full enough there. Klerk just rocked back on the back foot and cut that past point.
Knight over the wicket to Klerk down the track, and she belts it along the ground to Darlington at long off for a single. She's 18, 2 for 57 in the 9th over. Target 144. It's a middling target. It's a middling chase, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think this will go down to the 20th over.
Ooh. Around the wicket, Knight well flighted, driven by Jonassen. Can't pierce the field. There's one on the onside, and that's Haynes at a straightish mid-wicket. She picked her out perfectly, dot ball. She's not finding the middle, is she? 5 off 13.
They're really struggling just to get the feel of this pitch.
87 off 68. Knight bowls to Jonassen. This time she lofts it away to mid-wicket. 1 bounce to the fielder there, Litchfield. And 1 run to be had. At least she rotates the strike. She moves to 6, 2 for 58 in the 9th.
Well, they're keeping it in check. It's still under 8 per over. As long as it's that way, you sort of, it's still in your favour.
No, they're just doing enough.
Yep.
Knight bowls to Klerk on the pull stroke. Down to Sammy Joe at deep square leg. They'll amble through for another single, and Klerk will keep the strike. She's 19, 2 for 59, so they get 6 runs off that over anyway. At the same stage, Thunder was 2 for 60. So it remains just 1 run between them. 2 for 59 with Jess Jonassen there on 6 and Nadine de Klerk, she's on 19.
Yeah, still got Laura Commence, and we have mentioned her quite a bit here, but she has certainly made an impact in the back end of this tournament.
Does the game come down to her?
Probably does. The Thunder are going to need some wickets here, or probably at the moment they're probably happy for JJ to be on strike, but the longer she stays out there, the more that she'll get her timing. We saw that with Rachel Haynes as well with the Thunder.
Jenny Wallace getting some cheers as she wanders in front of the broadcast chair. Love you, Jen! On your wall! Woohoo!
She's signing autographs.
She's taking selfies of herself.
Keeping the fans happy.
Sammy Jo Johnson back into the attack. She bowled a magnificent over to get rid of Georgia Redmayne in the 6th over. Last over of the power play, and she took 1 for 1. She's back for a 2nd over. Starting to de Klerk, who's 19 off 16, and de Klerk is forward, struck on the body and called through for a run by Jess Jonassen. Johnson picks up and a follow through, and it's a leg by. So up by 1 heat, 2 for 60 in the 10th over. And Jess Jonassen, 6 off 14, will come back on strike. Now we've got Lauren Smith dropping back at deep square leg, just backward of square. Litchfield is deep at a very square mid-wicket. There's a mid-wicket, Heather Knight inside the circle, a long on, a long off. Rachel Haynes is moving to extra cover. Point, backward point, short third. Here's Johnson on away. Past umpire Sheridan bowls, flicked away. It was not a good delivery. Down the leg side, there's no protection there, and that's an easy boundary for Jess Jonassen. The pressure is released. 2 for 64. Jonassen put it away beautifully. She's 10. 2 for 64 in the 10th.
Yeah, just whipped that off her pads. It was just on leg stump and too easy for Jess Jonassen. I was just saying, looking at this field, it's probably going to be targeted sort of at middle stump just to make sure she try and hit. So we've got protection out on the leg side.
Not fine. Here's Johnson again to Jonassen. Can't say that combination enough. And Jonassen drives, hits that one well off the meat of the bat to Ishmael at long off. They stroll through for a run. 2 for 65 in the 10th over. Jonassen moves to 11. After 10 overs, the Thunder was 2 for 66. So a very close thing. Who would you rather be on at this point?
Probably the Heat. I think the wickets in hand have certainly helped their cause.
I think it's a bit like last night, although the Heat Thunder have a bit more to defend, but they need regular wickets. Johnson bowls to de Klerk, who smashes this from off stump down to Ishmael at long on. They get another single. 2 for 66 in the 10th over. Still 2 balls to come. 20 for de Klerk. Sorry, guys.
No, I was going to say, it's funny in the T20 game, sometimes it's almost like the middle overs of a 50 over. Sometimes probably sort of 7 to 12. It sort of has that similar feel sometimes, doesn't it, in the T20? And it's what's sort of happening in the last couple of overs here.
It's also where it's huge, though, where Heat had someone like Amelia Kerr who shut them down.
Yep.
Or if you take a couple of wickets, it seems like 2 wickets equals 4. Here's Johnson around the wicket, bowls to Jonassen, gives herself room, carves it away on the offside, but will only get a run as Haynes picks it up in the covers. So she's just starting to find more of the meat of the bat now, Jonassen. She's a dozen. 2 for 67, 8 off the over, 1 ball to come in the 10th.
Yeah, wickets are certainly needed here for the Sydney Thunder. Just building a nice little partnership here, the Brisbane Heat.
Last ball of the over. Litchfield comes in off the boundary towards point, right on the edge of the circle. Johnson to de Klerk, who's on 20, slower ball, and she gets there on the half volley to punch it down to Ishmael for another single. So de Klerk will get another run. The Brisbane Heat get another run, and they'll end the over at 2 for 68, so 9 off, 10 overs gone. Jess Jonassen is 12, Nadine de Klerk is on 21. Needing 144 to win. They lost Grace Harris, bowled, cutting, missed it. Sam Bates the wicket, Harris out for 6. It was 1 for 9 in the second over, and then Georgia Redmayne was caught at mid-off by Rachel Haynes off the bowling of Sammy Jo Johnson for 25. In fact, mid-on she was fielding, wasn't she, Rachel Haynes? 25 off 19, 3 fours and a 6. It was 2 for 34, now 2 for 69 to Klerk 21. Jonassen is 12, halfway through the run chase. To join the great Michelle Goscoe, Brett Sprigg.
The WBBL.
Hi, I'm Elise Perry.
I'm Elisa Healy.
I'm Ash Gardner.
On ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
Well, we're hoping last night when we saw a decisive victory for the Stars over the Scorchers that tonight's game would offer a bit more, and I reckon it is, Michelle Goscoe. Obviously, 2 for 68. The Heat, you'd think, are cruising, particularly given the batters they have still to come. Amelia Kerr, Laura Kimmins, but as you say, a couple of wickets could pull it right back here for the Sydney Thunder after 10 overs.
Yeah, it's sort of teetering on the edge here, this match, isn't it? As it should be at the middle stages of the second innings. And certainly the Thunder here, interesting to see what happens. We just talked about in the first innings how wicket fell in the 11th over. So does that happen again here for the Thunder? Or the Brisbane Heat, as I said, they're just forming a little good partnership here and just knocking these runs off.
Change of ends for Lauren Smith. She'll be coming on from the Fig Tree end. Her only over so far has yielded 8 runs. So bowling her off breaks from that end of the ground. Nadine de Klerk will be the batter on strike at the resumption from our drinks or timeout break. Cow corner is in front of us. Shabnim Ishmail, long on, long off. Going back a bit squarer. There's a deep square leg. Sammy Jo Johnson. So still playing offer here for the Sydney Thunder. Find their way back into this game. The Heat chasing 144 to win. They are 2 for 68. Lauren Smith to de Klerk. She plays and misses again, playing all around this. She missed that. Bounced away from Talia Wilson, the keeper, but it won't cost them any runs or buys.
Really nice and full there by Lauren Smith. Not a clean take. A little bit of turn back in.
Came off the arm of Talia Wilson. She was misjudged by the turn as well here from Smith. Again, miscues this as de Klerk goes straight to the fielder at catching mid-wicket, Rachel Haynes. Couple of dot balls to start the 11th over. Smith will come around the wicket now, trying to just further entice Nadine de Klerk, who's 21 at a runner ball so far. She came in at number 3 here for the Brisbane Heat. Smith to de Klerk, who goes high through the air, going all the way down towards Cow corner, 1 bounce and 4. Well, they'd moved Ishmael a little squarer, and the exact zone that de Klerk picked out was right where Ishmael was 2 balls prior, or in fact the ball prior.
Yep, I was just about to say that. It's pretty much about 3 metres from where she was, so she's standing where she was. Ishmael sort of telling the skipper, hey, do you want me to stay here?
And that's smart work from the batter as well, to judge those little pockets, those spaces where you mightn't otherwise think there are runs to be had. There certainly was on that occasion for the young South African. De Klerk now on 25, the Heat 2 for 72. Smith will come back over the wicket. She's now to Klerk, rocks back to cut, straight to extra cover where Heather Knight is waiting. Dot ball, no change to our score, 2 for 72.
Oh, she's been good to Klerk out there, hasn't she? She ran hard between wickets. You could see even the way she walked out there, it was really good intent.
Smith in again to de Klerk, who is down and driving. Beats Heather Knight this time, diving to her right. Long off, runs around Hannah Darlington. Just the 1 run on this occasion for de Klerk, so she's 26. 2 for 73. The Brisbane Heat chasing 144 for victory. So 71 from 55 is the equation. Just past the halfway mark now of the run chase.
And the Brisbane Heat just nudging ahead in this race.
The skipper, Jess Jonassen, to face the last ball of the Smith over. Full ball, dug out to the onside. They'll get one to mid-wicket. They'll have to hurry. They do just that. Jonassen to 13, 2 for 74 after 11. So Jonassen will keep the strike next over. You've got Brett Sprigg alongside Michelle Goscoe on Grandstand Cricket, ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, the ABC Listen app, where you'll find all of our WBBL games, or indeed where you have found them. Of course, we only have one more to come after this one. The final here on Saturday evening.
It's been exciting, hasn't it? I've thoroughly enjoyed watching so much cricket, and the standard. This is my third year here, but
Oh, you've thoroughly enjoyed spending time with us, let's face it.
This has been the highlight of my year. It's been a pretty rubbish year, to be fair, but I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing you guys every single week.
I think Sophie Devine put it best last night when she mentioned just logistically, how did this happen? How did they put all this together with the village and the bubble and all the rest of it? It's hats off to, and we'll reflect on that on Saturday as well, and we sort of farewell the competition, but it is certainly an effort to behold. So Hannah Darlington from the city end now, the southern end of North Sydney Oval. 1 over so far, 7 runs off it to bowl now the 12th over of the run chase. Jonassen facing her on 13. Dug in short. She pulls it high into the deep, all the way for 6. Picked it up just back of a length. Pulled it over the square leg umpire's head and got maximum value, Jess Jonassen, to make her score 19 and the Brisbane Heat 2 for 80.
Yeah, well, that's the experience from Jonassen, isn't it? Struggling early, wasn't getting a timing on the pitch, and then she's just smacked a 6. It's a beautiful shot backward to square.
Darlington ambles in again, same sort of length. This time she miscues, high in the air. Bowler underneath it to complete the court and bowl. She does. Superb comeback from Hannah Darlington. Very first ball after the 6. She gets the vital breakthrough of Jess Jonassen, who departs for 19. And the Brisbane Heat are 3 for 80 in the run chase. They need 64 further runs to win.
Yeah, and that one just a little bit wider of off stump there by Hannah Darlington, and she had to wait an eternity for that ball to come down. It's almost everyone just had their hearts in their mouths out there with the Sydney Thunder players, but Darlington took a pretty comfortable catch there in the end, and Jonassen has to depart.
So Jess Jonassen does indeed make way. She faced 20 balls for her 19, 1 4 and 1 6. Caught and bowled Hannah Darlington. As I say, a vital breakthrough in the 12th over of this run chase. And Georgia Vole has joined Nadine de Klerk. So we're seeing Amelia Kerr and Laura Kimmins just kept back a little bit longer. Georgia Vole in her debut year in the WBBL. She made an unbeaten 31 against the Thunder last time these sides met at Blacktown. So we know she can certainly swing the blade as well. The batters did cross, so Nadine de Klerk will be on strike here for Darlington, the wicket taker. Midway through this 12th over. 64 off 52 is the equation. Darlington in. Cutting de Klerk. This ball on off stump, straight to cover point where Treneman is waiting. Dot ball. 3 for 80 it remains.
Yeah, this will be a good battle too. Georgia Vole has been exceptional in this tournament. Said she's learnt so much just being around the quality players that are in the Brisbane Heat side.
64 from 51. Darlington steams in. De Klerk slaps this back past the bowler. Long on comes in off the rope. Ishmail, just the 1 run on this occasion. So 3 for 81 here. Nadine de Klerk now moves along to 27. And there's 2 balls to come in the 12th.
And that was a pretty similar delivery that got hit back at Darlington that when she got whacked on the ankle.
Yes. Yeah, she had the ankle concern, 2 or 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, and I called it a cankle. And the only reason I called it a cankle was to try and emphasise how big it actually got and how bruised it got. That was all. There was no intent cause to say that she had cankles. But she just got her leg out of the way there. No repeat of that one.
Now, Reezy and Redcliffe, I turned down the TV commentary because it was so New South Wales centric, so I switched to ABC Radio. Did anything change? No, says Reezy. Darlington into Vole, who's driving straight to cover where Heather Knight is waiting. Dot ball. Oh, sorry, Reezy, to give you that impression that we're New South Wales centric. No. Well, we broke for the contest. I mean, if the Sydney Thunder can get a wicket, the Heat are well on top. You've made no secret of that, Michelle Gosco.
Yeah.
63 off 49 is the equation. We are privileged to be broadcasting through Queensland and New South Wales, as well as through the UK, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. Last ball, the 12th. We'll try and lift for you, Reezy, as Darlington does likewise here for the Sydney Thunder. In she comes. Full ball here. Vole drive, screw the wicket. Beautifully done from the Brisbane Heat batter. All the way out in front of the O'Reilly stand. And she gets off the mark with a boundary. She's on 4. And the Brisbane Heat in pursuit of 144, that victory target. They are 3 for 85 after 12 overs.
Well, as I just mentioned, Georgia Vowell's been exceptional in this tournament, and just continuing on there, she's a really good timer of the ball. And one of the things that most players can play shots, but it's a matter of trying to pick what shot to what ball, and also making sure that you're hitting the gaps. And from what I've seen of Vowell, she certainly does that with aplomb.
Looks like we're going to see Samantha Bates resuming the attack from the fig tree end. 1 for 21 off 2, her figures so far. She claimed the very first wicket of the run chase. Grace Harris for 6 off 5. So they really can't stop the attack here with the ball, the Sydney Thunder. If they are to make a game of it here, the Heat are still well on top, as we said. Deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, both back, or all back. And a deep square as well, Sammy Jo Johnson. The Klerk on strike, 27 off 26. It's well fighted from Bates. She cuts, they'll take off with one to cover point. Throw comes, it's hit. Beautiful work in the field. Superb throw. A direct hit run out. Just absolutely sublime. And with that, de Klerk has to go.
Yep, she certainly does. Some really good work there in the infield, and a direct hit. You're always in trouble. De Klerk just put her head up. She knew she was in some deep trouble there.
Was it Treneman who got on the end of that? Just fielding it straight at point, and she's a good bat length short, Nadine de Klerk. So we speak about the importance of run-outs. Rachel Treneman's done that here for the Sydney Thunder, and that may have turned the game ever so slightly. So confirmation of out on the big screen. And with that, the Brisbane Heat are now 4 for 85. Tammy Beaumont with the run out. So great work from Tammy Beaumont. 4 for 85. And Nadine de Klerk is the batter out. She'd held them together for most of the innings so far. She's out for 27, off 27. A superb direct hit run out by Tammy Beaumont. And that does bring Laura Kimmins to the crease. She'll be at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, the game changer. Here it is right now. They want to wrestle this semi-final win away from the Thunder. This is the partnership to do it.
Georgia Vowell to face Samantha Bates here. Vowell is on 4. Bates, left arm finger spin around the wicket. She advances, goes back past the bowler. Upper sleeve down to long off. Slight fumble from Hannah Darlington, but it won't cost them any more than just the 1 run. So Vowell ticks along to 5. 4 for 86.
Yeah, really good shot there. Just advanced down the wicket. Made sure that she met that ball on the half volley, just to make sure that it went along the carpet.
Great work, Tammy Beaumont. Laura Kimmins, the new batter. We know how explosive she can be. Waiting here for Samantha Bates. Flights it up. Down and sweeping. Almost chops this ball on. It trickled out behind her boot and almost rolled into the leg stump.
And she's got a bit of a grin on her face. She knows how lucky that was. She had no idea where that ball went. Just as you said, it just trickled past her foot, and she almost dragged it on. It did. It hit the stump.
It actually hit the stump on closer inspection. You're right, Cozzy. Here she is facing her second ball. Bates, well flighted. She lofts it over the bowler's head with maximum force and maximum runs as well. Well, coming off that unbeaten 19 off 5, she clubbed at Drummoyne on the weekend. 4 for 92. She is off the mark with a 6.
Oh, that's a crowd catch. The cameraman actually had to move his camera. It would have whacked straight into it, but no nerves there. Second ball, see you later.
Despite all the danger of perhaps a stumping or a bolt off that first ball she faced, no fear at all from Laura Kimmins. Second last ball of the 13th. The Heat are 4 for 92. She attempts to palace around the corner, does so now. Gets it fine behind square. It's in open space. Sammy Jo Johnson runs to it from deep backward square. They will get 2 runs. Laura Kimmins now to 8, 4 for 94. So 50 runs away from that victory target here. The Brisbane Heat. In fact, 52 runs. 52 from 44 is the equation.
She's just turned this game in 2 balls, hasn't she? I always wonder, imagine if she opened the batting. What could happen if she batted 20 overs?
I'll move the field back to Lauren Smith. She's at a short fine as Bates continues cutting. Kimmins miscues this. The bowler fields in her follow through. Dot ball here from Sam Bates. And that will be a dot ball to finish off the over. So 13 overs complete here. 4 for 92 in the run chase. As I say, 52 runs required. 144 that victory target. A place in the WBBL final on Saturday night awaits the winner of tonight's contest. We're still waiting for plenty of twists and turns in this competition. The most recent wickets of fall. Nadine de Klerk, 27 off 27. Run out by Tammy Beaumont. A direct hit with the first delivery of that most recently completed over. And looks like we'll see Ishmael finish her allotment of 4 overs from the city end. So she's bowled every... it is in fact 4 for 94. So I was right the first time. The scoreboard's still catching up. Beg your pardon. So 50 runs away from the victory target. Ishmael will bowl from the other end here, Michelle Gosco. So that's what they're doing now with the South African tearaway.
Yeah, well, they desperately need a wicket here, the Thunder, so they've gone to their trump card. Alternatively, if the Brisbane Heat can see out this over, I think they're still in the box seat for this semi-final win.
Here she is, Shabnim Ishmail. 50 runs to get for the Brisbane Heat. 7 overs left. Kimmins. In fact, Georgia Vole facing Ishmael just plays a defensive stroke straight to mid-wicket, and it is a dot ball first up.
She's genuinely quick, isn't she? You can just see there, I think Vole sort of didn't see that ball too well, and Laura Cummins is just giving us some support there by laughing. So great to have your support of your teammates.
Is it harder to bat and sort of face these faster bowlers at night time as Ishmael is steaming in here past the umpire? Georgia Vole waits, comes forward, slightly cramped up, works it through mid-wicket. Just the 1 run here for the Brisbane Heat. They think about the second. Throw comes in, sharp with a flash from Litchfield in the deep. And Vole now to 6, 4 for 95. So harder to face these sort of quicks at night time?
Yeah, it is. And the ball can skid on a bit more as well. So it is a little bit more difficult. Obviously, Laura Cummins is not having any issues with it at the moment, but Ishmael's genuinely quick, one of the top 3 quick bowlers in the world. So such a compact little action that she's got. Stays straight on her front leg, which helps her get some power on delivery.
It's the young Aussie quick, the teenager Darcy Brown. She was, she won the Young Gun Award for this campaign. I mentioned Hannah Darlington last year who got the award, but Darcy Brown this year, she's certainly going to be up among the world's best and fastest. She is already. Ishmael to Laura Kimmins, who pulls down on this ball behind square. Out to Litchfield in the deep, just the 1 run, 4 for 96. Kimmins now along to 9.
Yeah, no false shots so far by the Brisbane Heat in this over. Obviously identified that Ishmael's only got the 1 over left.
Mark in Brisbane's also texting in. G'day, Mark. Thank you for that. Greg at Emu Point says, I don't think you are biased. The crowd noise is, though. Yeah, a few Sydney Thunder fans here, including our mate Stephen up in the McCartney stand. There he is, waving again.
We need a coffee.
14th over here. Vole facing Ishmael. She misses this. It skids through on a good length. And she wound up Georgia Vole, but nowhere near it. So a dot ball again. 4 for 96.
Well, that's almost like when you're a kid, you're taught to bowl if they miss, you hit. And that's exactly what would have happened if that ball had actually been on the stumps. It didn't miss by too much, just outside off stump.
Ishmael's got 2 balls to come in her spell. No wickets so far tonight. 15 runs conceded. Back of a length again, shaping to pull. Vole hitting the midriff. She'll take off here. Throw comes on. Strikers ends. Hit. Ishmael. Fielding to follow through. Through back at her own end. As Georgia Vole was trying to make ground. She was sore from that being struck a short time ago. Did she get in at the non-strikers end? This is an incredible piece of fielding from the bowler.
We've got to unpack all that. So I think she's
throwing
safe.
its way. Does she get the bat down over the line? It looks as though, assuming her bat's grounded, yes, she has indeed made ground. Only just. There's a few inches in that, Gozzy.
Oh, what a piece of bowling, and what running. Unbelievable. That's hit her straight in the midriff. That is going to bruise after the game.
Yeah, Laura Kimmins was quick to call her through. Of course, Vol was still trying to just gather herself after being struck at good pace, mind you, by Shabnim Ishmail. 4 for 97, by the way, the score. 47 or 37 is the equation. Last ball here of the 14th. Laura Kimmins facing it from Ishmail. Back of her length. She pulls. Doesn't get all of it, though. Rolls out towards deep mid-wicket where Darlington is waiting. One more run here and Kimmins will keep the strike next over. She's on 10. 4 for 98. 14 overs complete. That's all from Michelle Gosco for now. She'll rejoin us in our post-game wrap-up a little bit later on. Jenny Wallace, welcome back to you. Assuming you are back from downstairs. Well, there we go. I can hear your voice.
What a stitch-up, hey?
Doing a little royal tour, just waving to all the adoring fans here at North Sydney.
Yeah.
Fair dinkum.
Just practising my Queen Lizzie. With a bit of a chuckle.
How is this game placed?
God, he's asking for my autograph. What a goose.
Who do you like, Jen?
Double 100. Look, I think the heater is still in the box seat. They've got the wickets in hand, but I think if the Heat can drag this into the final over, that's going to be really interesting. But I still think the Heat should get this. They're the ones with they know exactly what's required. They've got the hitter at the crease. They've still got Amelia Kerr to come. They should have the firepower to get this done.
And you can tell Laura Kimmins wants to get it done too. She's got this. She has this confidence about her. She's laughing, giggling along. Good body language. She knows that the game could be in her hands, but the Heat would fancy themselves from where they are here. 4 for 98. 46 or 36 is the equation. Smith here bowling her off spin. And again, Kimmins looking to almost slog sweep this from outside off. Miscues this. It goes straight to mid-wicket. And a dot ball to start here. So cow corner is in front of us, Litchfield. Long on, long off. Laura Kimmins, but she likes to go over them. Second ball of the 15th. Smith in again. Places it for Kimmins, who slashes it back over the bowler's head all the way for 6. Same part of the ground as before.
Well, I'm not convinced she actually got all of that, Spriggy, and it still went 10, 15 metres over Ishmael's head. It doesn't matter where Rach Haynes' skipper pumps them onto the rope. If she hits it for 6, they're going well and truly past. She just can't be contained at the moment. How's the luck that she's received? Little ball dobbles back onto the stumps, doesn't knock the bails over, and then she's hit 2 6s since then. So danger signs for the Thunder, and while Kimmins is out there, they'll get this with a few overs to spare.
4 for 104 here, midway through the 15th, and still with Amelia Kerr to come to the crease as well. Here for the Brisbane Heat. Smith to Kimmins. Reverse sweep this time. Does get it away towards the boundary and all the way.
Well, just wow. I think we watched this game at the beginning of the year where it was Thunder Heat. It was the rain-affected game that got shortened to 5 overs, and we thought this will play into the Heat's hands here. They've got all these hitters. They'll all just go for it. And they almost lost 10 wickets in 5 overs and lost the game by 14 runs. It was quite a comprehensive victory to the Thunder. And at the time, we were just sort of questioning, like, Laura Kimmins, she came down the wicket, had a big swipe and got stumped. And you sort of think, oh, it's kind of what Kimmins does, isn't it? And then now this back end of the tournament, exactly when she needs, she just can't miss at the moment.
She's 20 off 9. Still 3 balls to come in this 15th over. 36 off 33 is the equation. She sweeps out to the deep again, splits the fielders beautifully. 4 more.
Well, this was always going to be a danger over for Rachel Haynes. She had one over left from Sam Bates, a couple from Sammy Joe and Hannah Darlington, so she was going to have to squeeze an over from Smith or Knight. This was the right over to use it, but Kimmins has taken it down so far.
An expensive over thus far. Still 2 balls to come in it. Kimmins 24 off 10. The Heat 4 for 112. Smith into Kimmins, who lops it back over the bowler's head. Fielders coming around. It goes over them as well. 6 more runs for Laura Kimmins to take her score to 30 and to take her team, the Brisbane Heat, you would think, over the finish line here in this second semi-final. 4 for 118. 26 runs away from the win.
Incredible. What a weapon she is, and she's coming good at the correct end of the tournament. There's a reason the Heat have been on a run of 7 wins and looking comfortable now for their 8th and a spot in a chance to do the three-peat.
20 runs off the over so far. Still one ball to be bowled here by Lauren Smith. Attempts a little reverse, and she misses this. It is a wide. No, of course it's not. Because she was in position nice and early here. 4 for 118, so 20 runs off at a dot ball to finish. 15 overs complete. The Brisbane Heat well and truly in the box seat here to go through and face the Melbourne Stars on Saturday. Jenny Wallace bringing it home with you next. It'll be Andrew Moore.
The WBBL on ABC Radio, digital and the ABC Listen app.
This incredible Brisbane Heat team on its way to an 8th straight win and a 3rd straight final. Jen, I can't believe that decision by Rachel Haynes to bowl Lauren Smith to Lauren Kimmins there. Why wouldn't you bowl pace? She's an over too late, bringing Sammy Jo Johnson in now. 4 for 118 because the Heat have this in hand comfortably. 26 to win off 30. Sammy Jo 1 for 9 off 2. And Laura Kimmins now set 30 off 12. Some brutal hitting.
Yeah, brutal is the word. She's just a bully, isn't she, Kimmins? And she's at the top of her game right now.
So Vol, the youngster. I guess all she's worried about here, turn the strike over. Great finish coming up. Brisbane playing way above expectations. Great warm-up to tomorrow night's Australia-India. That's on the SMS. Sammy Jo Johnson starts with a slower ball, nearly a Yorker. And Vol clamps down on a plays it back to the bowler. Dot ball 4 for 118. I don't think Brisbane are playing it way above expectation. I think they're playing to expectation. They've won the last 2 titles. They've won 7 in a row. They came in tonight, I would think, as favourites, bearing in mind all of that. And they're chasing a decent but not a great total. Here's Johnson bowling a full toss, and it's easily put away by Vold, a deep square leg. They've got one. They may come back for a second. They do. And there's pressure here on the return. She's run out by the length of the straight. Great return from Phoebe Litchfield. Wow, they've just thrown a wicket away. Georgia Vold run out for 8. 5 for 119 in the 16th over.
Well, is that just the silly little opening that Heat are presenting to the Thunder? There was no need to come back for that second. It wasn't to get Kimmins on strike. It was for Kimmins to remain at the non-strikers end. So just a real brain fade moment for the Heat batters then. And it just, look, I still think they're in control of this game, but you don't want to present an opportunity to your opposition, and they've just given them a little in.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Georgia, Phoebe Litchfield, a very good outfielder anyway. But like you say, the second run had no point to it. So it'll be Amelia Kerr on strike, 5 for 119. The target 144. I'm with you. They've still got this well in hand, but that was a careless error. Amelia Kerr, 96 runs at 12. High score of 35 not out came in the final game of the regular season against the Renegades of 26 deliveries, all up a strike rate of a tad under 97. 25 to win off 28. Laura Kimmins is still there. And that's huge. She smashed 30 off 12. And remember her first ball from Sam Bates? She chopped it onto a leg stump and the bail didn't come off. Next ball, 6. Here's Sammy Jo Johnson. There's an extra cover almost in a catching position in Haynes. Sammy Jo bowls. Slower ball. It's hit uppishly but wide of the bowler down to Ishmail at long on, and Amelia Kerr gets her job done. Rotates the strike. She's off the mark with a single. 5 for 120 in the 16th over. 24 required for the Heat. And Laura Kimmins on strike.
Well, there's no two ways about this for the Thunder. They have to get Kimmins out without adding to the score at all. She has to get out immediately for them.
She's 30. She is fun to watch.
Oh, how good is it? And just the freedom. And she's batting half a metre out of her crease right now.
Here's Sammy Jo Johnson. In bowling to Laura Kimmins. Reverse sweep. And it's one bounce to Tammy Beaumont. And Amelia Kerr set off. And is run out by half a pitch. She's out. The crowd roar. The Heat are imploding. And it's 6 for 120 in the 16th. Amelia Kerr run out by Tammy Beaumont for 1.
Oh, we've had a brain fade before. This is unbelievably poor. She's looking back at Laura Kimmins, wondering why she didn't run, but at the end of the day, she's down on her knee playing a reverse sweep that went straight to a fielder. There wasn't a run in it. There was, again, no need for the run. Maybe if it was, a different situation, they might have needed to run everything, but they weren't in that situation. And all they're doing is presenting the opportunity for the Thunder to get a way into this game and compete and drag it into the last over. Plus, they're bringing the crowd back into it. Kimmins had shut them up completely, other than the fact they were just enjoying what she did.
That's 3 runouts in this innings, Wal. Tammy Beaumont now has been responsible for 2 of them. Nadine de Klerk for 27, great bit of fielding. Georgia Vole basically ran herself out of Phoebe Litchfield for 8, and now Amelia Kerr does likewise for 1. 6 for 120, 24 to win off 26. Kimmins still on strike, though, to Sammy Jo Johnson, and Charlie Knott comes in at the non-strikers end. Another young player in this Brisbane Heat lineup.
Well, Kimmins, she'd be looking at that. That's 4 shots for her. 4 shots or 6 shots, I suppose. 24. She'll just go 4 sixes, thanks.
Charlie Knott, 19 runs at 19.5 and a highest of 13. Sammy Jo Johnson bowls to Kimmins, who clubs this, and it beats the bowler. She got her hand to it, Sammy Jo, and they take a run to mid-off where Rachel Haynes misfields as well. So a run through brute strength there, basically. Laura Kimmins, 31, 6 for 121, 1 ball left in the 16th over. And the youngster, Charlie Knott, comes on strike, and I think a good move here. Laura Kimmins, with a bit of panic going on that you don't normally see associated with the Brisbane Heat team. And she comes down to have a quick chat to Charlie Knott.
She's a leader in their junior pathways, Charlie Knott, so hopefully she's got a calm head on those shoulders.
Sarah, I'll get to that in a moment. Sammy Jo bowls to Knott, and she turns it off a hip down to Litchfield at deep square leg. They have 1. They won't be able to get a second run. And that ends a really good over from Sammy Jo Johnson. 6 for 122, 4 runs off. So 22 needed or 4 overs. It's still advantage Heat with Laura Kimmins out there, but 2 run-outs in the same over. 6 for 122 at the same stage. Thunder were well behind that, but only 4 wickets down for 109. Sarah says, I'm loving this year. There's virtually no gap between footy and the cricket. One bright spot in a wretched year. Thank you, Sarah. Do we need a new term for the best player? Nowadays, a trump card would mean a better than refuses to leave when out and demands a recount, says Ty. Well said, Ty.
Very good.
Sam Bates coming on. Left arm finger spin, and Laura Kimmins loves the spin. Sam Bates so far tonight, 3 overs, 1 for 30. Not figures you normally associate with her. She'll start bowling to Knott with a deep mid-wicket Litchfield, long on Ishmail. And there's a deep cover and a long off Darlington. Barely see the deep cover in the distance there. Green jersey against the green hill. Rachel Haynes at an attacking mid-wicket. Sam Bates bowls on the sweep, beaten. Wilson whips off the bails, but Knott had not moved. Dot ball, however, 6 for 122. 22 required of 23 deliveries.
The tension just builds, but how's this for the Heat? You've got Laura Kimmins just so relaxed. She's just leaning on a bat, hand on a hip, just gives a thumbs up to Charlie Knott. You're right, mate. We got this. Don't worry. Just lives for this moment. You've got to remember, she's also been facing in their previous 2 wins.
Yeah.
Laura Kimmins, and gotten the win under pressure, so she seems to thrive in this style of the game.
Charlie Wilson. Here we go, Bates. And here she goes. In, well flighted, not down the track. Can get a run? No, she can't. Sammy Jo Johnson with one of the worst returns I've ever seen, but she did well moving to her right. Picks it up a backward square, and there's no run because Treneman, thankfully for the Thunder, backed up the throw. So 22 to win off 22. Charlie Knott still at the crease. 2 dot ball. She's 1 off 3. Laura Kimmins standing tall at the other end, 31 off 14. She'd love the strike against the spin. And now deep cover comes into the circle. Long on, long off. Deep square, deep mid-wicket, not down the track. Plays it along the ground. Work to do for the long off Darlington. She has 1, and that's all they'll take this time. Nice work from Darlington in the outfield. Nice job by Charlie Knott, not to panic. Gets Kimmins back on strike, not 2. 6 for 123 in the 17th. 21 to win off 21.
Good
for Laura Kimmins, that's 21 off 5.
Correct. Good composure from Charlie Knott there, just to use her feet and not look to overhit it, but just make good contact, keep it along the ground, and importantly bring Laura Kimmins onto strike.
Tonight's winner to face the Melbourne Stars in the final on Saturday night. Will it be green on green or green on teal? At the moment, green on teal is most likely. But it's back to a runner ball. Here's Bates bowling to Kimmins. What happens here? Well flighted. Kimmins, see you later! She whacks it into the Molly dive stand with the biggest six we've seen at this ground this year. Advantage heats. Kimmins, what a star. She's 37. 6 for 129.
Just incredible. That has gone a long way back. The captain and the bowler come together and they have a chat, but what do you chat about? It's not where your field is placed. It literally only can be, right, do we go up pace and try and blast through her? Do I slow it down and try and tempt her down? But at the moment, it's hard to solve the puzzle.
That's a big difference now, isn't it? 15 to win off 20. They can go into cruise control, although Laura doesn't have that. Sam Bates, quicker ball, played and missed by Kimmins, who went for the sweep. Missed it. Tarly Wilson drops it. Dot ball. 15 to win off 19. 6 for 129. And Sam Bates, one ball to come in her final over. 1 for 37. Here she comes. Bowling to Laura Kimmins. Flatter, quicker ball, bowled! She went for the reverse sweep. Kimmins is out. Bates strikes. Oh, my goodness, is it game on again? 7 for 129 at the end of the 17th over. Another twist. Kimmins bowled Bates for 37. 15 to win off 3 overs.
Well, I don't think my heart can take much of this. I'm already swaying around in the wind in the Tower of Terror, and then just when you think that the Heat have got in a position where they can't lose and there's only a couple more hits from Kimmins and the game will be over and said and done, she gets out. And now the pressure is on the tail for the Heat.
So Kimmins is out. Delissa Kimmins, her wife, comes in. So out in the 17th over. 7 for 129. Laura Kimmins, 37 off 16 deliveries. Still think at the end of this game we're going to look back at the decision by Rachel Haynes with Laura Kimmins just new at the crease. Instead of hitting it with pace as she'd done the previous over successfully with Ishmael, went for Lauren Smith, and it was just clobber time for Laura Kimmins. She took 20 runs off that over. That looms so large. 7 for 129. Hannah Darlington, who's had a golden arm late in games, comes back into the attack for Thunder from the city end. And she has 2 overs, 1 for 18. 7 down, 15 required. Charlie not on strike. Giddy up, Wall.
We're in. This is game on now.
So deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on. Only the 3 back. Short third, backward point, cover, mid off. Darlington bowls with a mid wicket inside the circle. Is there a run? No. Down to Sammy Jo Johnson at mid off. Dot ball. The crowd cheers. I love this tension. Finals in any sport, you can't beat it. And now a bit of a combo between Delissa Kimmins, the experienced player out there, with Charlie Knott, 15 to win off 17.
Knight pressing in at cover to try and stop the little drop and run. Same with mid-wicket Rachel Haynes, and gaps on the leg side around her.
Darlington to Knott. Swing, struck on the patch, out for LB. Not out, no run. Darlington picks up and a follow through. Dot ball nearly as good as a wicket. 7 for 129.
Well, Darlington, this is her. She's made for this situation. Hannah Darlington, she's been their death bowler all season and so impressive. And she's so young, Maury. This is what impressed me the most, that she's so cool and calm and, yeah, just someone who thrives under this pressure and says, give me the ball, Skip.
Delissa Kimmins hasn't had many opportunities at the other end. 15 runs at 7.5, a higher score of 8. Darlington not down the crease, bowled! Darlington got underneath the bat. 8 down. Game on. Thriller here at North Sydney Oval. Darlington beams, 8 for 129. Not bowled Darlington for 2.
Well, just executing her Yorker, and Not, she tried coming down the wicket just to change the angles of that offside field, see if she can't squeeze it through and scamper through for a single, maybe get it through and get 2 or a 4. So she took a punt by coming down the wicket, but Darlington just pulls the trigger on a brilliant Yorker.
What a turnaround. 8 for 129. Are Thunder now favourites? They still need 15 more runs. And in comes Georgia Prestwich. The only one left in the shed is Nicola Hancock. What's Georgia Prestwich done? I'd imagine with this wonderful Heat lineup, She hasn't had to bat too often throughout the tournament, Georgia Prestwich. And she's 8 runs at 4. Highest score of 5 not out.
Well, they want that 5 and a bit more. PB from Prestwich tonight for the Heat.
15 off 15. Who are you on now?
Thunder.
Ooh. What a turn. They were cruising, and those 2 run-outs. Senseless run-outs from Brisbane Heat.
Yeah, really silly. No need for them, was it? Right now, you got to scamper, but not then.
Finals pressure. Darlington. What an over so far. 3 dot balls and a wicket. She's into Prestwich. Bowled! Darlington gets 2 in 2. Prestwich bowled for a first ball duck. Advantage green. Heat 9 for 129, and not too very long ago they were 4 for 119. They've lost 5 for 10. Jenny Wallace, and Darlington's on a hat-trick to the number 11.
Again, just what a death bowler. Her ability to understand her game and where she's got to put it. And, well, Prestwich hasn't ever really had to do much with the bat. I wondered what she could do. She's a great fielder, so there's definitely hand-eye coordination within that player, but not a lot with the bat from the look of that shot as she sort of tentatively prodded forward. But Darlington just lifting for this moment. This is unbelievable what we're seeing here in the crowd. They're cheering her name. She's like superstar status.
Like you before when you were downstairs. Stephen, our mate in the stands, what's going on, he says.
And these pads from Hancock, pale blue, what is happening? Sorry, I can't handle those visually.
Darlington is on a hat-trick to Nicola Hancock. In she comes, bowls defended back down the pitch, and a diving save by Hannah Darlington. Another dot ball, her 5th of the over. Nicola Hancock at number 11. 5 runs only in this tournament. 1 inning, it was 5 not out off 8 against the Sydney Sixers. 15 to win off 13, 1 wicket for the Thunder. Darlington has 3 for 18. Last ball of her 3rd over. In over the wicket, bowls to Hancock, and she'll get a run. Down to Sammy Jo Johnson at long off. 11 will keep the strike. Hancock 1. Kimmins yet to score. That's Delissa. 9 for 130. What an over by Hannah Darlington as she gets a great ovation here at North Sydney Oval. The Brisbane Heat with 1 wicket in hand need 14 off 2 overs.
Oh, script was there for Hannah Darlington, and she stood up and she has taken it with both hands. And there's still twists remaining in this. I think Delissa Kimmins should probably be trying to get on strike and do the job herself. She's previously opened the batting in T20 formats. She's the senior player of this pair. So I think she'll be trying to talk to Nick Hancock and say, look, get that on board. We run. We've got to take this into the last over.
On the SMS, what a turnaround, Sydney Thunder. Hi, Andrew Cameron from Beecroft here. How good is cricket? I know you're a league man, but this is as good as it gets. Oh, no, I love the cricket. This is exciting. This is brilliant. This is what you come to the games for, hoping to see. Either which way. 14 to win off 12. Can there be a rear guard now from the Heat? It's Hancock on strike to Sammy Jo, who has 1 for 13 off 3. What an over by Hannah Darlington. She's still a teenager.
Incredible.
Talk about holding your nerve. Here comes Sammy Jo to Nicola Hancock. She's in over the wicket, slower ball. Hancock drives it back to the bowler, crowd catch. But it was played into the ground. 9 for 130. And that means 14 to win off 11. And Kimmins is saying to Nicola, I know you're the jack of this team, but you got to get me down there. Some way, somehow. 14 to win off 11. Sammy Jo Johnson bowls to Hancock, who's on the drive down to Litchfield at deep mid-wicket. There can only be a single. Maybe a good thing for the Heat, however. It'll bring Delissa Kimmins on strike for the first time. Hancock 2, 9 for 131. 13 required off 10 deliveries, Jenny Wallace.
Well, Sammy Jo Johnson, 2 balls where she's just bowled slower of her full pace, but still changed up both of those deliveries, not giving Hancock pace to work with. I think she'll probably try and follow the same against Delissa Kimmins.
Can Kimmins whack one out like her wife did 4 times? Sammy Jo to Delissa Kimmins, comes down the track, hits it back to the bowler. Out! Thunder win! Sammy Johnson takes the catch. Delissa Kimmins, first baller. The Heat, who were 4 for 119, have lost 6 for 12. All out 131. Sydney Thunder wins by 12 runs. It'll be a Sydney Thunder Melbourne Stars final on Saturday night. Well, Jenny Wallace, just in the last 5 days alone, we have seen some remarkable fightbacks at this ground. This is as dramatic as you'll ever see.
Oh, that is incredible. I can't believe what we've just witnessed. 6 for 12 they've lost from being in command of this chase. The teams chasing at North Sydney under lights win. And so the Thunder, they had to turn that script and just keep believing. And sure enough, a couple of silly run-outs that just it opened the door for them, and they've come bolting through it. I can't believe this.
Those run-outs killed the Heat. And those 2 in 1 over were all their own fault. Wbbl coming back for a second on Phoebe Litchfield, run out by metres and metres and metres. And then in the same over, Amelia Kerr run out by half the pitch by Tammy Beaumont. And that was huge, because even then at 4 for 119, Brisbane Heat were cruising well. They were heading for a win with 2 overs to spare.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I don't blame Laura Cummins for getting out, because she plays that way and has gotten them on this run, and in fact got them into a position where it looked like they were cruising. Now, yes, she played a reverse sweep and it didn't come off, and the pundits will be saying, oh, it's an ugly shot when it doesn't come off, you shouldn't play it, silly option, she's still out there, they win. Yes, that's correct, but that's Laura Cummins, and that's what you sign up for, and that's how she's gotten them into the position. So,
and on another day, they go for 2 fours, right?
Exactly right. So I think she's done her job, and it was just, as you said, a couple of run-outs. They were silly.
And they weren't Laura Cummins' fault.
Not at all. Not at all. Just people just not having match awareness, the panic getting to them. Delissa Cummins, look, she came down the wicket and tried to hit one straight. That's her area to score from. That's the way she plays. She's just hit it straight back to Sammy Jo Johnson, so she's taken the wicket. But you can't, the tail end will be feeling it, but at the same time, the top order need to get around them and go, that was us, guys. We didn't ice the game.
20 minutes ago, who would have believed that Brisbane Heat not only lose but get bowled out in the 19th over? Incredible. At the end of 15 overs, that was the 20-run over off Lauren Smith's bowling where Laura Cummins went berserk. They were 4 for 118, which meant they needed 26 to win off 5 with 6 wickets in hand. And here they are, they've lost by 12. What a game.
A brilliant game. And the Thunder crowd, they were silenced, weren't they? That over that put everyone sort of sitting there going, oh no, we're just going to have to politely clap some phenomenal batting that we're seeing, but at the same time, this is not the result we're after. And now there's a buzz around the field as all these Thunder supporters are planning their weekend and trying to think, well, hang on, when we can defensively bowl like that and we can believe and take down the Brisbane Heat, who are 2-time champions, maybe we can take the Stars.
Well, there's always a recency bias, isn't there? Because we've seen them do this tonight. You're going in with very positive thoughts. The fact is, Melbourne Stars have been the top team all year. They're going to be very, very hard to beat with Lanning and Villani and Siva and Sutherland and Dupree. Sammy Jo Johnson, what a night for her against her old team. Brett Sprigg, she's with you now.
Yeah, phenomenal. Sammy Jo, that final moment, take us through what was going through your mind. I mean, to against your former side, get that last wicket, unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we just said, obviously, once we got out there, it's just one ball at a time, and I think that's what we did so well. Credit to, Hannah Darlington, that was clutch by her, so yeah, stoked. And she is the player of the match, which is fantastic for the young gun. We'll get to the how and why, I suppose, shortly, but did you feel like you had enough at the halfway mark? Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, it was a little bit slower to start with, but to get that total that we got at the start, Rach obviously batted really, really well at the end there, so credit to her for sticking it out right to the end. Those run-outs in the 16th over, I mean, run-outs can turn games. The fielding all up from your team tonight was sensational. At semi-final pressure, runs on the board. Obviously, they're going to try and get up and down the wicket. So stoked for the girls. They just put their bodies on the line and did what we had to do. We'll hear from Hannah shortly. A word on her and how good was she tonight? Oh, just clutch. I think for someone her age to be able to stand up and do what she does in those big moments, fantastic to have her in my team. And the Melbourne Stars. It's all ahead of us on Saturday. The Stars, the Sydney Thunder. What makes them such a strong team, a hard team to beat? Yeah, obviously, they've had such a really good run, obviously, at the back end. Meg Lanning, their internationals, Elise Villani, fantastic players. Great stuff. Thank you. Thanks. Sammy Jo Johnson down there with Brett Sprigg. As you mentioned, we'll hear from the player of the match, Hannah Darlington. Michelle Goscoe joins Jenny Wallace. I'm Andrew Moore here at North Sydney Oval.
Gozzy, that was as exciting as you could get. Obviously not for Brisbane Heat team or their supporters, because they, very un-Brisbane Heat-like, capitulated.
I can't believe what I've just witnessed. Seriously, my mouth is just so wide. I can't believe what we've just witnessed. And, you know, it gives me another reason why I love cricket and why we do what we do. And what a remarkable comeback. Could it have been any better for Sammy Joe to take the winning catch against her old team? And, look, I really feel for the Brisbane Heat. You thought they had the game in the bag, didn't they? And then all of a sudden, Laura Cummins gets out in that dramatic collapse. It was unbelievable bowling by Hannah Darlington there at the end.
Sydney Thunder wins by 12 runs. I'll go through the card. Sydney Thunder managed 6 for 143. Rachel Haynes top scored with 48 not out. We're on air for another 10 minutes here. And next best for the Thunder was the 27 off 20 by Tammy Beaumont. And for the Heat, 2 for 11, Nadine de Klerk off 3 overs. 1 for 19 off 4 for Amelia Kerr. 1 for 19 off 3 for Nicola Hancock. And 1 for 21 off 3 for Jess Jonassen. Let's go back down to you, Brett Sprigg, right now.
I've got the winning skipper, Rachel Haynes. How does that feel?
Oh, it's incredible. I think for those moments, that's why you play. You know, for our bowling group to stand up at the back end, Hannah Darlington, she was incredible. Nailed her Yorkers, and we really pulled it back, and it was great to get across the line.
She's in demand, Hannah. She's speaking to a couple of different TV broadcasters. I don't know if we'll speak to her, but I mean, when did you feel like you might be able to win this game in that run chase?
Look, the whole time we were just talking about taking the game deep, and I know that Laura Cummins has taken a few attacks apart, but we just felt like even if that did happen, we just need to try and get some wickets, and we were fortunate to do that at really crucial times. And when the pressure's on in those big moments, it's always hard for a new batter coming out, having to get going straight away.
That 15th over, when Laura was taking the fight to Lauren at this end, did you question whether it was the right decision?
We had to bowl one of our offers, to be honest. So, we sort of knew she's capable of that, but it's just about maintaining your composure. And, unfortunately, Loz is probably not the only bowler who's copped a little bit of tap from Laura Cummins this season, but that's the way it goes. And, I'm really happy that our team just hung in the contest.
And the run-outs, the catching, how proud are you of those standards tonight?
Yeah, our fielding's been exceptional all season, to be honest. So, really glad that we were able to hold it together and, create pressure when we needed to.
To come from last year's disappointment, I guess, and be a contender, be in the final, what does that mean to you as a skipper?
Oh, it's incredible, I really wanted this year to be different. I think we are a different team to what we were last year. And the girls are really, I guess, bought into what it is that we're trying to do, our style of play. And so, it's just incredible reward for a lot of work behind the scenes.
The Stars were a great team coming up on Saturday. What do you have to do to beat the Melbourne Stars?
Oh, look, they've got some world-class players in their attack, both with bat and ball. It's going to be a really challenging game for us, but I think that we've got a lot of momentum now. We're playing some good cricket, so I'm really hopeful that, we'll get across the line.
Rachel, well played tonight and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Rachel Haynes has scored 48 not out of 44 deliveries. We've got 8 minutes to go to see if we can get Hannah Darlington. As Spriggy mentioned, she's doing some TV work at the moment. Now, the Brisbane Heat innings needing 144 to win. Grace Harris bowled by Sam Bates for 6 in the second over, 1 for 9. Georgia Redmayne caught by Rachel Haynes at mid-on off Sammy Jo Johnson, and she was out for 25 off 19 deliveries, 3 fours and a 6. Jess Jonassen caught and bowled Hannah Darlington, and that ball went 86 kilometres in the air. It was a really good catch by Darlington. Jonassen out for 19 off 20 deliveries, and the 12th over, 3 for 80. Nadine de Klerk, who came in at number 3, was run out brilliantly by Tammy Beaumont for 27 off 27 deliveries with 3 boundaries. She had a really good night, Nadine de Klerk, 4 for 86, and then Laura Cummins went nutso. Georgia Volvo was run out by Phoebe Litchfield attempting a second run. It was silly. She was out for 8. In the 16th, it was 5 for 119. Later that over, Amelia Kerr ran herself out, came all the way down the track. Tammy Beaumont returned the ball to the bowler, and she was out for 1, 6 for 120. Laura Cummins bowled by Sam Bates for 37 off 16 balls with 2 fours and 4 sixes. In the 17th over, it was 7 for 129. Charlie Knott bowled by Darlington for 2, 8 for 129. Georgia Prestwich bowled by Darlington, a first ball duck, 9 for 129. Delissa Cummins caught and bowled Johnson, a first ball duck to end it in the 19th over, all out 131. Nicola Hancock, 2 not out off 4 deliveries. 4 extras from a leg bye and 3 byes. Really disciplined bowling by the Thunder, all out 131 from 18.3 overs. For the Thunder, Shabnam Ishmail. Now, she won't appear in any of the highlights, but gosh, I reckon she deserves a wrap. 4 overs, none for 17, beat the bat 1,000,000 times, and nearly executed a brilliant run out of her own. Sam Bates, 4 overs, 2 for 37. Sammy Jo Johnson, 3.3 overs, no maidens, 2 for 14, 20 wickets in the tournament now for Sammy Jo. Lauren Smith, 3 overs for 34, but 20 came off 1 over, courtesy of Mrs. Kimmins. Hannah Darlington, 3 overs, 3 for 19, and Heather Knight, 1 over for 6. Thunder win by 12 runs as the heater bowled out for 131. And the player of the match, this amazing teenager, what a job she's done with the ball. Hannah Darlington held a nerve superbly. The Yorkers were in play again, and it was just a great way for her to finish. And the tide may have turned as she came on to bowl what turned out to be her last over, the 18th of the innings. But boy, was she again up to the task, and we've seen that from her. Her ability to handle pressure is quite something. She's just getting a little bit of assistance here with a microphone cord from Sam Bates, and here she is, the player of the match, Hannah Darlington with Brett Sprigg.
She is a player in demand, but she's joining us for a very quick chat. Hannah Darlington, what a win, what a performance from yourself. How good's that?
Yeah, thanks. It was a really nice opportunity out there to get those death overs, and I think it just shows the character of the team to go out there and pull out a win like that.
Did you know you could do it?
Definitely, I think, we've really backed ourselves, whether we're chasing a total or trying to defend. So those situations our team really thrives in.
Spoke to you a couple of times last summer. Breakout year for yourself. Young gun of the tournament last year. Establishing yourself this year as one of the real standout stars. What's one thing I guess you've learnt from last summer into this year you wanted to really apply to your game?
Yeah, I think it took a lot away from last summer, and I think the biggest thing for me was probably you're going to have bad days, but just enjoy the ones you have good. There was a lot of success last season, so a big focus in pre-season was knowing that people were going to come harder at me and just making sure I could back it up with some new tricks, I guess. So all good around.
Hannah, great win, well played. I know you're a very busy player of the match, so I'll let you go. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Hannah Darlington, and she's been pulled in a million different directions, so we appreciate the time. Good job, Brett Sprigg. And what a young talent. The fact that she's trusted with those late overs. And remember, Gozzy, we saw that at Hurstville when the Thunder beat the Hobart Hurricanes by 1 run. And I know you and I were off air thinking, oh, gosh, that's a risk. And she came to the party. She's got nerves of steel.
Yeah, she certainly does. She's one of the hardest trainers in Cricket New South Wales, and she's been honing her skills for so long. She was in the squad for a couple of years, didn't get an opportunity, but what it made her do was work even harder. And, she's just shown exactly what she's capable of tonight. As you said, nerves of steel, comes from Western Sydney, a great part of New South Wales. And no, look, she's worked extremely hard, and yeah, look, it's a great victory for her tonight.
She's one of those young ladies you just can't help but feel really, really happy for. So Jenny Wallace, we do have green on green in the final.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the sludge match.
Instead
of the grudge match. Because they're green.
That's not bad. No,
Thank you.
You can't. You just tell them. You can't explain them.
Oh, sorry. I know. It's T20. I've just got to get
You failed right at the end there with the explanation. How do you see it from a couple of days out, Jen?
Oh, look, I think it's the Stars to win, isn't it? As you said, they've been the best all season. Their line-up and their depth of their players, even the likes of an Alana King, who's stepped up so much. She's taken the weight off some of the senior players as well. It's right now in this emotion, in this moment, you feel like it's got to be all Thunder because they're the most recent victors, and it was a come-from-behind victory that they really shouldn't have got, but they fought and they ended up pulling off a miracle. So you feel like they're going to take all that into the game. I just think the Stars, if they play to what they should, they get it. Gozzy,
what about the finishes we've seen here at this ground last weekend and again tonight? Some of these comebacks have been extraordinary. We had the Strikers beating the Scorchers last Saturday. We had the Sixers scoring 184 off 19 to beat the Stars last Sunday. Now this game tonight.
Yeah, it's deep, rich in history, isn't it? North Sydney Oval, and women's cricket has played a big part here. And again, the WBBL, it just delivers. And look, I'm excited for Saturday night. The Stars are probably favourites, but coming off a win like that, the Thunder, you can't discount their bowling unit that they do have. And obviously, Heather Knight missed out tonight, and they still were able to conjure up over 140. So
bring on the sludge match.
Bring on the sludge match.
Thank you.
Go with it.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jen. See you Saturday night.
No place I'd rather be, Maury.
I'm with you. Brilliant. Good on you. Thank Michelle Gosco and Jenny Wallace. That's it for tonight. Thank you to our man of sound, Dennis Carnahan, next door to